What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 3 UC Chapter 51 Hinata's Change 4 Quarters Chapter 51 The Country of Ghosts. Between the rocky walls of a mountain stream, Hyuga Neji, Xiaoli, Haruno Sakura carried a pretty girl on their backs, followed by Uzumaki Naruto, and the group moved quickly along the mountain stream. But because of this girl, I had to stop, on top of a large rock in the middle of the mountain stream. According to the ninjutsu used by the 4 people who attacked that day, choose a route centered on fire style, and go to the country of marsh. This is the only route with abundant water sources. Hyuga Neji was a little helpless and explained to the girl why she chose to go this way. However, Hyuga Neji and Xiaoli just explained clearly that in the upper reaches of the mountain stream, a huge water dragon condensed by water rushed towards the 5 people with a huge amount of water. Judging by the momentum, it was trying to kill the 5 people, all devoured. The girl is not a victim, but the mission target of the 4 of Hyuga Neji this time, the priestess of the ghost country, and the key person who can solve this crisis, Xian. Seeing the water dragon rushing over, Ziyuan's expression changed drastically, and she shouted. It's not fire, but water. The choice this time is a big mistake. Hugging Haruno Sakura's shoulders, Xian watched the water dragon attack and was extremely nervous, but she also knew that this was not the time to make trouble for no reason, so she didn't do other things. Compared to this, Hyuga Neji also had an ugly expression on his face. He looked in the direction where the water dragon came and glanced at the top of the mountain stream, and he couldn't help showing a serious face. Go to the heights. The 5 of them were just about to leave when a black figure passed them in an instant. Miyamoto was expressionless, looking at the water dragon coming head-on at this moment. The chakra on his body gathered together, and his hands instantly formed seals. Fire-style fire extinguishment. Boom. With the support of Miyamoto's huge chakra, the terrifying extinguishing fire is almost as powerful as the extinguishing fire used by Madara during the 4th World War. The terrifying flames that covered the entire upper reaches of the mountain stream directly engulfed the water dragon, and even cut off part of the water flow of the mountain stream, causing a large amount of water vapor to rise. Seeing such a scene, Hyuga Neji showed serious eyes on his face, and looked at Miyamoto's back. Xiaoli and the others also became vigilant. Her long hair was loose, and she was wearing a black imperial robe. Miyamoto turned his head, glanced at Hyuga Neji and the others who were vigilant behind him. His face was calm. What's wrong? Don't you know me, you guys? Maybe it's been a long time since I met someone from the same village. Miyamoto gave a rare smile. Although Uzumaki Naruto is a bit silly, but for his friends, Uzumaki Naruto is the one who remembers the most clearly. As Miyamoto, as the first person to recognize him among his peers, Uzumaki Naruto certainly remembers. You are Musashi. After being reminded by Uzumaki Naruto, the 3 of Haruno Sakura and Hyuga Neji Xiaoli on one side finally recalled. Miyamoto Musashi, a legendary existence among his peers. His eyes fell on Xian on Haruno Sakura's back. Miyamoto just glanced at it, then looked in another direction, and said. You guys go up first with the dignitaries, I'll deal with the caster, and I'll be right back. Stab it. Miyamoto's voice just fell, and after a flash of thunder, Miyamoto had disappeared in place. Hyuga Neji and the others also quickly left the place, came to the high place of the mountain stream, and looked towards the other side where the water dragon came just now. After Xian got off the ground, she was a little puzzled, and glanced at Hyuga Neji. Why don't you leave first? Wouldn't it be better for us to leave first with that person blocking the enemy? Shaking his head, Hyuga Neji said, No, Miss Ziyuan, following him is the best choice. If he can't protect you, neither can we. Hyuga Neji's face is serious. After more than 2 years, the extent to which Miyamoto's strength has improved, he has already been immeasurable. Hinata rolled her eyes, looked at the 2 people in front of her with a serious face, and gentle fist raised her hand. Can you 2 be caught without a fight? I'm not very good at fighting. Among the 4 people, in the original book, here is Katai, who is good at using earth-style hardened attacks, defeated by the drunk Xiaoli. Huh? Little girl. What are you talking about? Be careful, I'll kill you. After the words fell, Katai rushed towards Hinata directly, with a crazy killing intent on his face. No, I'll kill you now. Seeing the other party rushing over, Hinata showed seriousness on his face. It seems that there is no other way. According to Miyamoto-kun's order, I will defeat you here. The moment Katai approached, Hinata's body rushed out in an instant, and the pattern of Tai Chi 8 trigrams under his feet was enlarged. Under the urging of Chakra, a strange force transformed Katai's attacking figure into an instant stagnation. This moment, enough for Hinata to get close. Gentle fist act change 8 trigrams 64 palms. Once the gentle fist method is approached, the first hit indicates that the next attack will definitely be hit. Katai forcibly endured Hinata's 64 palms, and the last 2 palms directly sent Katai's body flying. But the moment he flew out, a strange force directly transferred this momentum and condensed it into Hinata's hands. Swish. For a moment, Hinata approached Katai, raised his palm and pressed down, with sharp eyes. Gentle fist method. Clap. Boom. There was a muffled sound directly inside Katai's body, his eyes widened, and fresh blood slowly flowed down from the 7 orifices. Withdrawing his hand, Hinata tugged on the same imperial robe as Miyamoto's on his body, and looked at another person in a blink of an eye. If there was a medical ninja by his side at this moment, it would be possible to find out that all the viscera at Katai's mouth were shattered, including the bones. On the basis of the gentle fist method, coupled with the chakra dark energy that attacks the body, the palm collapse is one of the ultimate moves that Hinata has cultivated in the past 2 years. Katai. Spike. The other person looked at the body of Katai, who had the highest defense among them, in disbelief. He couldn't believe it. In the duel of physical skills, she was killed in seconds, this girl. So strong, in an instant, the heart of the remaining one was already determined to retreat. This girl, together with the person who used fire style over there just now, after the 2 sides came over, she would undoubtedly die. Want to escape? Impossible. Seeing the opponent's subconscious movements, the rich experience of the past 2 years told Hinata that the opponent wanted to escape, and Hinata rushed out without any hesitation. Looking at the flow and convergence direction of the other party's chakra clearly with blank eyes, Hinata already had a rough draft in his mind. Water-style water cut. Seeing Hinata approaching, he didn't dare to hesitate and made a move directly. Facing the 2 water blades coming towards him, Hinata looked serious and acted instantly. 8 trigrams Tai Chi Revolving Heaven. Chapter 52 Determined to challenge sprites 1/4. Chapter 52 Holding the yuan with both hands, chakra pulls, forming a strong chakra defense cover. Boom. The water blade and the chakra shield collided with each other, and at the same time as the water curtain scattered, Hinata's voice sounded. 8 trigrams empty palm. Chakra blasted out, forming a powerful palm force. While blasting the water curtain away, it directly blasted towards the enemy. Obviously, the enemy who didn't expect Hinata to have this move was caught off guard, and part of his body was beaten into liquid. Seeing this scene, Hinata couldn't help frowning. A ninjutsu similar to hydration technique. This is not easy to deal with. Miyamoto told Hinata a lot about the secret techniques of the ninja world. Among them, the hydration technique and other ninjutsu are really unfriendly to bodily ninjas. Facing this situation, Hinata looked serious, and was about to strike again, but stopped again, just quietly watching the opponent who was slowly turning into a puddle of water. What's the matter? Taijutsu ninja, knowing that he has no solution, so he doesn't plan to do it. The enemy obviously laughed, but Hinata shook his head and smiled. No, I don't need to do anything anymore. Dazed for a moment, the next moment, a dagger pierced through the body of the hydrated enemy, and the seal on Miyamoto's hand was finished. Lightning-style thousand bird blade. The huge thunder and lightning power all acted on the enemy's liquid body without any leakage. Under the effect of this huge electric current, the enemy's liquefaction technique immediately lost its function, and the whole body was burned black by lightning, and the dead could no longer die. Stopping, Miyamoto turned his head to look at Hinata, who came to him, then looked at Katai's body on the other side, and stretched out his hand to pinch Hinata's little face. Walk. Swish. The two immediately turned around and rushed towards the place where Hyuga Neji and the others were. There is not much to say about the long-lost gathering. Although we haven't seen each other for a few years, we have grown up. The mission continued, but this time Miyamoto led Hyuga Neji and his party forward, and the speed was quite fast. On the way forward, Miyamoto looked at Shion with a strange gaze, but after just a glance, he withdrew his gaze. What's the matter? Miyamoto-kun, is there a problem? Hinata noticed Miyamoto's gaze, and asked. Shaking his head, Miyamoto said calmly. No, just her chakra. A bit weird. Miyamoto almost forgot about the plot of the theatrical version, but only knew that this trip was to seal the monster from another world that was about to be revived. Miyamoto couldn't remember anything about Shion in front of him. Whether I can remember it or not, but Miyamoto's eyes are still there. There is a seal on Shion's body. The source of the seal, while exploring, Miyamoto's eyes fell on Shion's bell, and after just a glance, he withdrew his gaze. The plot or something is not important to Miyamoto. Uzumaki Naruto, the son of prophecy, will play its due role. The others heard what Miyamoto said, but they didn't say much. Strength still determines everything. Miyamoto's strength, in a few words, is really no problem. A group of people came very quickly and did not encounter other people's attacks along the way, and the other two attacking ninjas that Hyuga Neji said did not appear. At night, when the moon was full in the sky, Miyamoto and his party rushed to the cliff not far from the shrine. Looking at the shrine so close, Miyamoto frowned and glanced at Hyuga Neji. The understanding Hyuga Neji nodded and stepped forward, rolling his eyes straight away. With Baiyan's insight, the situation of the shrine is clear at a glance, but the inside of the shrine is not clear because of the special sealing barrier. There are many terracotta warriors and horses underground. I am afraid they're undead legions. What should we do? Hyuga Neji turned his head, looked at Miyamoto, and said something. After nodding to indicate that he understood, Miyamoto glanced at Uzumaki Naruto and Miko Shion beside him, with a serious face. Naruto and Shion went into the shrine, and the others followed me to clear the way for them, and prevented the terracotta warriors from entering the shrine. After hearing Miyamoto's arrangement, everyone nodded seriously. Yes. Understood. Miyamoto rushed out in an instant, and Uzumaki Naruto directly carried Miko Shiin on his back, and followed behind Miyamoto. Just as Miyamoto and others stepped onto the platform in front of the shrine, the ground trembled. A large but not very strong terracotta warrior appeared. After discovering Miyamoto and others, they immediately surrounded them and moved slowly. Looking at these terracotta warriors, Miyamoto's face remained unchanged. He raised his hand, and chakra intertwined. Ninja Big Ball Rasengan. Boom. Miyamoto's current chakra is quite terrifying. In such a battle, there is no problem of attrition at all. A Big Ball Rasengan directly pushed a road out, taking advantage of the lack of speed of the terracotta warriors, and quickly arrived at the entrance of the shrine. Take a look at Uzumaki Naruto and Shiin. You guys go in first. After the situation here stabilizes, I will come over. Hearing Miyamoto's words, Uzumaki Naruto didn't hesitate at all, said, and ran towards the shrine with Shiin on his back. The task of blocking the terracotta warriors seemed quite easy after Kakashi and others came. Hinata. After destroying a terracotta warrior again, Miyamoto looked at Hinata beside him. I'll go in and take a look, I have a bad feeling. Hinata nodded. Miyamoto-kun, please be careful. When Miya came to the shrine, he saw the revived sprites and Uzumaki Naruto who kept avoiding attacks with Shiin. Sure enough. Something unexpected happened. In the same environment inside the volcano, Miyamoto frowned slightly, and immediately rescued Uzumaki Naruto and Shiin on the side. What is happening? Rescued by Miyamoto, Uzumaki Naruto heaved a sigh of relief. Seeing the sprite attacking again, he raised his hand and threw out a kunai to block the blow. I don't know what's going on, Zaiyuan was sealed just now, but it doesn't seem to be working. Hearing Uzumaki Naruto's words, he glanced at the unconscious Shiin. Miyamoto grabbed Uzumaki Naruto, threw him towards the exit, and took off the bell at Shiin's heart. Leave it to me here, you retreat first. Looking at Miyamoto, Uzumaki Naruto nodded. I see, Musashi, be careful, this guy can't be killed. After speaking, Uzumaki Naruto took Shiin and left directly. Obviously, he is completely assured of Miyamoto's strength. Holding the bell in his hand, Miyamoto looked at the monster with serious eyes. I don't remember anything else, but this bell is the key to killing this thing, Miyamoto still knows it. Putting the bell away, Miyamoto looked up at the huge monster sprite. As I said before you are officially eliminated, I will use you to test my current strength. Chapter 53 The Sprites on the Street 2/4 Chapter 53. The only one who can communicate with sprites is the witch, and the only thing Miyamoto can hear is the voice of sprites. Roar. With a malicious roar, Miyamoto's gaze was fixed, the ground under his feet vibrated, and Miyamoto jumped straight up. A dragon-headed tentacle bit towards Miyamoto. Seeing the attack, Miyamoto formed a seal with one hand. Wind-style windblade. Jung. After a wind groan, the invisible windblade cut the dragon's tentacles from the middle. Bang bang bang. A few more voices came, and several dragon-headed tentacles rushed towards Miyamoto. The entangled appearance seemed to want to drag Miyamoto into his body. Fire-style fire dragon flame bomb. A fire dragon bomb directly hits the attack, but the wind style has an effect, but the fire style has no effect. Stab it. Ray launched the body flicker technique and dodged a blow. Miyamoto glanced at his surroundings. Magma environment, this guy is an ultimate fire monster. Fire style is invalid. While dodging, the sprite's third huge attack gathered again, with great momentum but no threat. Frowning, looking at the sprite's single attack method, Miyamoto couldn't help but have some doubts. Wood-style wood expulsion jutsu. Snapped. With palms together, the temperature of the surrounding soil is high, but the wood style that Miyamoto pays attention to is still no problem. Under the urging of chakra, several huge logs appeared on the ground, instantly forming a huge wooden shield with ghost-faced fangs, blocking in front of Miyamoto. Boom. The monster's attack was blocked, and after opening the shield, Miyamoto looked at the monster, with a trace of thought on his face. The sprite's attack is only this dragon-headed tentacle, which is a threat to Jonin, even elite Jonin, but it has little effect on cage level. And for Miyamoto, even more useless. Suddenly recalling the supply of chakra for the foursome, Miyamoto understood. Without a body, there is only such strength. Dodging the attack again and falling to the ground, Miyamoto looked at the tentacles that were attacking by sprites. I see. No wonder you are so attached to Shiin's body. Your power needs to be brought out by others. Without the body of the witch, your power is nothing more than that. The only troublesome thing is probably to eliminate the chakra that needs a special Miko. I'm a little disappointed. Forget it, that's all for today. The lightning flashed on his body, and he launched a thunderbolt to approach the sprite's body. The Sharingan in Miyamoto's eyes had already been opened, and he quickly caught and avoided the sprite's attack. He started with the bell in his hand, felt the special chakra contained inside, and guided it out. That's it. Wind-style spiral shuriken. Hum. The screeching voice, the terrifying chakra, in Miyamoto's hands, the giant wind-style spiral shuriken, almost his size. Jumping up, Mangekyo Sharingan locked on the sprite's body and threw the spiral shuriken directly. Mangekyo riding wheel doubling. The Mangekyo Sharingan rotated slightly, and the volume of the spiral shuriken soared 10 times as the pupil power passed away. Boom! A huge sound came from the shrine, and similarly, there was the scream of monsters, the terrifying maliciousness that was blown up. Stimulate the minds of Kakashi and others outside. Hyuga Neji and Hinata rolled their eyes. When the barrier was broken, they saw a huge chakra about to explode, and their faces changed drastically. Get out of here quickly. Hearing the warning, the group put down the terracotta warriors and left the shrine quickly. Not long after leaving, a terrifying chakra exploded, and the mountain where the shrine is located exploded directly, and magma flowed down. Seeing this devastated scene, everyone looked at each other in blank dismay. The morning sun fell on the top of the mountain. Kakashi and others looked at the new volcano that was half blown up, and looked at each other. This guy Musashi is more troublesome than Naruto. But this tone is quite dignified, this strength is boundless. The figure of Miyamoto, coming from the bottom of the mountain, appeared in front of everyone. The moment he saw Miyamoto, Hinata put down the worry on his face and came to Miyamoto. How is it, Miyamoto-kun? Hearing the worry in Hinata's words, Miyamoto shook his head. A little disappointed, Miyamoto looked up at Shion, pondered for a moment, and said, "The sprite is dead. Your mission is over." After saying this, Miyamoto took Hinata's hand and left directly. Ghost Country mission, completed. The mission of the Ghost Country is completed, and Miyamoto and his party quickly returned to Konoha. Kakashi and the others went to hand in the task, and the group separated. Miyamoto was more or less moved by the feeling of being close to home. He never thought that he and Hinata would travel outside for nearly 3 years. Miyamoto-kun, I'll go home first. Tonight, I won't be back. Looking at Miyamoto with a red face, Hinata said. Sister Hong hasn't seen Miyamoto-kun for a long time. After saying this, Hinata shyly ran away. Miyamoto was taken aback for a moment, then with a smile all over his face, he hurried towards his home. Red quickly rushed to the house. Looking at the tidy small yard, Miyamoto's eyes flickered, pushed open the door, walked into his home, quietly came to the living room, and saw Yuhi-hong wearing an apron, cleaning. Seemingly aware of Miyamoto's gaze, Kurenai Yuhi stopped her cleaning and turned around suspiciously. The four eyes met, the vision gradually blurred, and a smile appeared on Yuhi-hong's face. Came back. Nodding, Miyamoto came to Kurenai Yuhi and hugged Kurenai Yuhi gently. I'm back. After warming up, Miyamoto hugged Kurenai Yuhi, and looked at Kurenai Yuhi. A diamond-shaped imprint on the center of the eyebrows marks that the 100 healings mark and Baihao technique left by Miyamoto, Yuhi-hong has been cultivated successfully. The reason why Miyamoto took 100 healings mark and Baihao technique from Tsunade was because he was worried that Kurenai Yuhi might care about his age. With these two ninjutsu, there is no need to worry. There is no difficulty in obtaining these two ninjutsu. After all, Tsunade regards Miyamoto as a remnant of the Senju clan. Women's minds are quite delicate. Although Miyamoto is not sure, he still goes back to deal with obvious problems. Early the next morning, Miyamoto, who had enjoyed the early rising service of Yuhi-hong, brought Hinata, who had already returned, to the Hokage office. When I come back from the trip, I need to meet Tsunade. Tsunade probably wanted to ask about his strength. With wood style, the strength of Miyamoto, Konoha is the strongest at this stage. Chapter 54 The Gale Wind Blows 3/4 Chapter 54, I'm back. When Miyamoto pushed open the door of Hokage's office and walked in, Tsunade put down the pen and documents in his hand, looked at Miyamoto, and looked up and down Miyamoto. Not bad. With this strength, it seems that you have succeeded. As soon as he walked in, Tsunade could clearly feel the indistinct aura on Miyamoto's body, and the refreshing feeling when he approached. This is the final stage of sage body development, the natural feedback of the huge vitality, the same feeling as her grandfather. Nodding slightly, Miyamoto did not deny Tsunade's conclusion that the reason for leaving the village in the first place was to develop sage body. Musashi, do you want to test your strength? Looking at Miyamoto, Tsunade clenched his fist and made a clicking sound. From this appearance, he probably wanted to test it himself. Looking at the emotional feeling, Miyamoto shook his head. No, forget it. None of the previous sprites could be tested, let alone Tsunade. After hearing Miyamoto's words, Tsunade's eyes flickered slightly, and he put away his fighting spirit, and he was in a good mood. That's it, then I understand. If Miyamoto doesn't fight with himself, there are only two possibilities. He can't win by himself, and the second is that he already knows his own strength. No matter which one it is, it proves that Miyamoto's current strength is already above Kage. After chatting with Miyamoto for a while, another person came in from Hokage's office. This time it was not someone else, but Uzumaki Naruto and Haruno Sakura, who had carried out the mission of the Kingdom of Ghosts together before. After the two people from the 7th class came in, Tsunade directly announced the next thing. Strength test. Hitaki Kakashi vs Uzumaki Naruto, Haruno Sakura and Hinata. In the third training ground, Miyamoto looked at the four people who were ready to start the battle. The title of 50-50 is not for nothing. Kakashi's strength is indeed beyond doubt. The same wise fighting mind as Narashikamaru, not losing to Guy's body skills under normal conditions, with the illusion blessed by Sharingan, and now it is Mangekyo, plus thousands of ninjutsu copied. Thinking about it carefully, Kakashi has almost no weaknesses except for the limitation of chakra. But one hit 3 is enough. Although the cooperation between Hinata and Uzumaki Naruto is not very good, after 2.5 years, under the training of Miyamoto, the vicious fighting instinct is enough to make up for something. Not surprisingly, this battle was very exciting. The battle between Uzumaki Naruto and Haruno Sakura is remarkable. Although Uzumaki Naruto didn't use his own unique skills, the most important thing is the combat experience, which is much better than the reckless before. Following Tsunade's Haruno Sakura was even more direct. One punch and one kick are comparable to ninjutsu. After one hit, Kakashi basically announces game over. Compared to the battle between the two in Class 7, Hinata didn't have a particularly outstanding performance. Basically, he would shoot at the critical moment, simply grasping the moment of Kakashi's counterattack. Therefore, although the outcome is not yet decided, they are still in the state of suppressing Kakashi. With supercilious observation, Hinata didn't have much problem in this game. The battle was as Miyamoto expected, and Kakashi did miss a move and lost. And this test, the real reason why Miyamoto let Hinata participate is. Congratulations, Hinata, on becoming a Chunin. Kurenai Yuhi and Hinata were chatting in the living room, while Miyamoto was doing something in the kitchen, and the atmosphere was very happy. Perhaps because of the time, both of them have already recognized each other from the bottom of their hearts. Miyamoto is quite willing to see this scene. After all, there is nothing better than a harmonious harem and enjoying the blessings of all people. 3 days later, the long-lost Class 8 went to perform a mission. Aburame Shino and Inuzuka Kiba also became Chunin. Although the strength improvement is not as scary as Hinata, it is not bad either. So at Hinata's request, Miyamoto didn't go and stayed at home. For the request of his own woman, Miyamoto will never refuse. After all, Miyamoto considers himself a good man. Miyamoto's home, Miyamoto is doing meditation with his eyes closed. This is Miyamoto's habit. Meditation can make Miyamoto's mind clearer, which is of great benefit to the next series of battles. After all, Miyamoto is still alone now. When people are tired, a series of things will happen next. Naturally, Miyamoto needs to keep a clear mind at all times. After all, his plan cannot be missed. His Mangekyo Sharingan, although he has Sage Body and Ashura Chakra, and has not been used many times, but more or less, there will be some impact. Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, Miyamoto is bound to win. Not only that, when you get Eternal Mangekyo, the same, Indra's Chakra, it's time to get it. Chaoyang's 4th Ninja War in the near future is not enough to watch after all. Even so, not as anxious as before. Miyamoto's retreat didn't last long. Miyamoto-sama. Emergency. Shizune ignored the question of etiquette and rushed directly into Miyamoto's small courtyard. Master Tsunade wants you to come over immediately. Seeing Shizune like this, Miyamoto frowned, nodded, stood up, followed Shizune, and ran directly towards the Hokage building. In Hokage's office just now, Miyamoto glanced at the document with the Sunagakure logo on the desk, and then glanced at Tsunade, who was frowning. Here we come. Musashi. After seeing Miyamoto, Tsunade stood up directly and said, S-rank mission. You head to Sunagakure now. 5th Kazekage Gaara was taken away by Akatsuki. The Kakashi class has already gone to Sunagakure. The news just came that the Kazekage recapture plan will be launched. You go there, you should be clear about the importance of Naruto and Akatsuki's strength, right? Just after Tsunade finished speaking, Miyamoto nodded, indicating that he knew. Looking at Miyamoto, Tsunade spoke directly. That's good, I hope you can arrive as soon as possible, otherwise, there may be some problems then. I'm worried that the Kakashi class may not be an opponent. You set off alone, at your current speed, you should be able to arrive soon? Taking the scroll in Tsunade's hand, Miyamoto nodded. Then I'm leaving now. Stab it. A flash of thunder flashed, and Miyamoto's figure had left directly from the window of the Hokage building, first returning home and leaving a message of his departure. Miyamoto left Konoha directly, with a solemn face. The wind has begun to blow. Chapter 55 Goodbye Uchiha Itachi 4 quarters. Chapter 55 Ninja's speed is not slow, but Miyamoto's speed is even more terrifying. After receiving the mission, within half a day, Miyamoto has arrived at the border of the Land of Fire. Also met Kakashi's ninja dog Parker. Wait a minute, Musashi. After stopping Miyamoto, Parker had worked with Miyamoto before. Parker knew that Miyamoto didn't like nonsense, so he spoke directly. Go to the country of Sichuan, the goal is the country of Sichuan. Hearing Parker's words, Miyamoto's eyes were fixed, and suddenly he raised his eyes to look behind Parker, and violent killing intent burst out. Boom. The thunder sounded, and Miyamoto's figure crossed Parker in an instant. Wind-style Rasengan. After infusing the wind attribute chakra, the normal Rasengan-sized wind-style Rasengan is at least 10 times more powerful than a normal Rasengan. The giant tree in front of Miyamoto was directly blown off. Looking at the broken tree, Miyamoto frowned. Escaped? Parker came to Miyamoto's side with doubts on his face. What's wrong? Is there something wrong? Shaking his head, Miyamoto grabbed Parker directly and rushed out with a face full of indifference. Someone was watching here just now, but it seems that they should have escaped. Show the way. In the cave where the Gedo statue is located in the country of Chuan, all the members of the Akatsuki organization, except Deidara from Gaara and the Red Sand Scorpion who brought them here, are all ninjutsu projections here. Ju, who is responsible for monitoring the surrounding situation and giving feedback, suddenly said. There's a big problem coming. Hearing Ju's words, the others opened their eyes one after another, and Rinnegan Pain, who was above zero, looked at Ju. What trouble? Ju's voice was deep, and he reported directly. The head of the three colors of Konoha. Hearing Ju's words, all the people stared at each other and didn't say much. The original reputation of Konoha Sanshiki was only spread within Konoha, but in recent years, Anko and Kuroyuki have been quite active, and because of the black market, Miyamoto has been assassinated non-stop in recent years. The reward that led to him was already the highest level in the black market. This also proves from the side, Miyamoto's strength. Perhaps thinking of the issue of Miyamoto's bounty, Kakuzu, who had been silent all this time, suddenly spoke. Let me go. His head is quite valuable. Hearing Kakuzu's words, Pain was about to nod, but Uchiha Itachi on the other side suddenly said. I'll go, I have some grievances with him. As Uchiha Itachi opened his mouth, Kakuzu looked at him. Although it was due to projection, the killing intent in that gaze could still be felt. Uchiha's kid. Pain turned his head and glanced at Uchiha Itachi, and decided directly. In that case, I leave it to you. After Uchiha Itachi nodded, the phantom didn't make any sound. After a little more time, Ju's voice sounded again. Another enemy is coming, and it's Konoha's ninja. Hearing this, everyone present was silent for a while, and Pain's eyes fell on Deidara. Deidara, it's a little more lively this time. Miyamoto didn't know what happened in the cave, but at this moment, Miyamoto had already entered the territory of Kawano country. It didn't take long to advance, and Uchiha Itachi was sitting on the small hill in the direction of Miyamoto, with 3 Tomo Sharingan in his eyes, slowly rotating, looking at Miyamoto who stopped not far away. Parker, go back. Now that you're here, I can already find my destination. After Miyamoto opened his mouth and told Parker to go back to the summoning world, the 3 Tomo Sharingan spun around in his eyes, which were no longer wearing colored contact lenses. Uchiha Itachi has no intention of doing anything, and Miyamoto also intends to wait and see what happens, and neither intends to do it first. I thought. Standing up, Uchiha Itachi looked at Miyamoto with a calm face. You'll never let your Sharingan be known, don't hide yourself anymore? Uchiha. Musashi. Hearing Uchiha Itachi's words, Miyamoto couldn't help feeling a little helpless, and looked directly at Uchiha Itachi. My name is Miyamoto Musashi. Not Uchiha. After hearing Miyamoto's words, Uchiha Itachi didn't change his expression, as if it was a matter of course. Miyamoto was able to hide his identity for so long, which shows that he will not admit that he is a member of the Uchiha family. Your Mangekyo Sharingan, it must have been opened that night? Looking at Miyamoto, Uchiha Itachi said with certainty. Speaking of which, Uchiha Itachi looked at Miyamoto. It's been so long, your eyes. Can you still see things clearly? Mangekyo Sharingan will weaken eyesight. This is something that only those who have activated Mangekyo Sharingan can know. Uchiha Itachi is very sure that Miyamoto also knows this. Miyamoto didn't know what Uchiha Itachi's plan was for telling himself these things, but anyway, Miyamoto knew these things better than anyone else. Everything you want to say, I know, Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Miyamoto spoke lightly, and his body made an offensive posture. That's the end of the conversation. Uchiha Itachi, I know everything about you, so it goes without saying. I have no reason to give you any favors, and I have no obligation to promise you anything, because from the beginning, you and I have no equivalent barcodes for transactions. Miyamoto probably knows the reason why Uchiha Itachi came here, and it has something to do with his auto in all likelihood. Closing his eyes slightly, Uchiha Itachi looked at Miyamoto and said. Is that so? Then the conversation failed. He raised his eyes, and his gaze was sharp. Boom. The scene before Miyamoto's eyes suddenly changed. Illusion. Solution. Clang. The two kunai collided violently, and both of them hit the iron 3 points. The eyes of the two people looked at each other and turned at the same time. Uchiha Itachi's eyes flicked, and the kick hit Miyamoto directly in the heart. Boom. Shadow clone. Uchiha Itachi's face showed such a color, and the moment he turned around, the seal was over. Fire-style great fireball technique. At the same time, Miyamoto's voice, falling from the sky, looked at Uchiha Itachi. Itachi, let me show you my pupil technique. Fire-style great fireball technique. At the same time, the power of the pupil in Miyamoto's right eye circulated, and the great fireball technique, which was originally as big as Uchiha Itachi, suddenly increased its power by more than 3 times. Boom. Miyamoto's great fireball directly engulfed Uchiha Itachi's great fireball and fell towards him, scorching the ground black. After landing, Miyamoto looked to the other side, and the figure of Uchiha Itachi stood there quietly, looking at Miyamoto. I see, it is indeed a very good pupil technique, especially for you. Chapter 56 Miyamoto's Little Regret 1/4 Chapter 56. As you said, lightning flashed on his body, and Miyamoto's speed was as fast as the record. As soon as Miyamoto's voice fell, he was already in front of Uchiha Itachi. Miyamoto Fluid Art. With a sharp face, Miyamoto has developed his own taijutsu through his own memory on the basis of Konoha Fluid Jutsu. Coupled with the terrifying speed, viewed from Sharingan, physical skills have been brought to the limit. Of course, there is no comparison with the forbidden technique like 8 inner gates. So fast, Miyamoto's taijutsu is quite terrifying. Even Uchiha Itachi's strength is quite strong and experience is enough. Elephant Turn Technique. Your current chakra only has 3 layers, and the combat power is less than 5 layers. Clap. Grabbing each other's hands, Miyamoto lowered his head, spoke suddenly, then raised his eyes, and 3 Tomo Sharingan spun. Seeing this scene, Uchiha Itachi's expression changed. Oops. With a sneer, Miyamoto looked at Uchiha Itachi. Illusion Darkline Technique. There was nothing in front of Uchiha Itachi's eyes, and he made a defensive posture directly, and the Sharingan kept turning. Is it the illusion of the sealed book? Boom. As soon as the voice fell, Uchiha Itachi suffered a heavy blow from the back and was directly pushed to the ground. Miyamoto looked at the corpses of his men who had turned into other people, with a trace of exclamation on his face. The famous Itachi god. It is basically hopeless to fight him. Uchiha Itachi's body can no longer hold on, and after half a year, he will have a decisive battle with Uchiha Sasuke to help Sasuke open Mangekyo Sharingan. The battle between Miyamoto and Uchiha Itachi is impossible to fight at full strength. Uchiha Itachi won't go all out with Miyamoto, it's that simple. I failed. In the cave, the projection of Uchiha Itachi shook for a moment, said something, and fell silent. Hearing Uchiha Itachi's words, everyone present became serious. Zero Pain looked at Deidara and the Red Sand Scorpion. After the operation, you too. Be careful. The strength of Uchiha Itachi is absolutely at the forefront of the entire Akatsuki organization, someone that Pain dare not underestimate, let alone others. Although it is only a parallel importer with 30% strength, in general, it is still very strong. Miyamoto should not be underestimated. After all, the name of a person is the shadow of a tree. After solving the troublesome obstacle of Uchiha Itachi, Miyamoto quickly came to a mountain stream. In the rock wall of this mountain stream, there was a cave similar to the entrance of a shrine, except that it was blocked by a huge stone. Whoosh! Miyamoto had just arrived, and glanced at the talisman with the seal on the stone, and there were several cracking sounds behind him. It's you, Musashi. Kakashi showed a reassuring smile on his face, looked at Miyamoto's back, and came to Miyamoto's side. I didn't expect Master Hokage to let you come over, but this way, I can feel a little bit more at ease. Turning his head to look at Kakashi behind him, Miyamoto nodded, and glanced at the others, Uzumaki Naruto, Haruno Sakura, and another old man. Grandma Chiyo. Miyamoto felt the taste of shadow in Chiyo grandmother. This is undoubtedly a strong cage level. However, the elderly Chiyo mother-in-law can really display this strength, less than 3 or 4 out of 10, so there is nothing to be afraid of. Miyamoto looked at Chiyo's mother-in-law's eyes. Kakashi noticed it and said, Musashi, this is Sunagakure's advisor, Chiyo-san. This time we are here to save Gaara's partner. Grandma Chiyo. This is Jonin of Konohagakure, Miyamoto Musashi. After hearing Kakashi's words, Chiyo's mother-in-law looked at Miyamoto. Konoha is really full of talents. I have heard the name of the head of the 3 colors of Konoha a long time ago. Miyamoto nodded, looked at Chiyo, and sneered slightly. Well, of course, my reward in the black market is so high, more or less Sunagakure's shadow is in it. Gaara will not do such a thing, will do such a thing, probably only the older generation like you would do it. The huge Sunagakure. In the middle of speaking, Miyamoto's eyes flickered with a cold light. He glanced at Chiyo, and then withdrew his gaze. There is no need to spend too much time talking with a dying person. There are some things that should not be said too clearly, but Kakashi and Grandma Chiyo understand it, and what they don't understand is Uzumaki Naruto and Haruno Sakura who haven't touched these things yet. Grandma Chiyo's eyes flickered slightly, but she didn't care about Miyamoto's hostility. Sensing the tension in the atmosphere, Kakashi immediately changed the subject and looked at the seal on the boulder. This is the 5-seal barrier. It's troublesome. Apart from this one, there are 4 other places. They must be found and removed at the same time. Otherwise, this barrier cannot be solved. After hearing Kakashi's words, Miyamoto frowned slightly. Any technique should be provided by Chakra. As long as the power is greater than this barrier, it can be broken. Kakashi scratched his head. That's true, but to solve such a sister, Chakra is needed. That level of attack shouldn't be small. Miyamoto looked at the entrance with a serious look on his face. Stand back, I'll give it a try. If it doesn't work, go find where the other 4 are. Hearing this, Kakashi and others dodge and retreat directly. Snapped. Miyamoto clasped his hands together, the terrifying chakra condensed, and the river continued to turbulent waves, centered on Miyamoto, spread out towards the surroundings. Kakashi and others slightly blocked their heads. Mother-in-law Chiyo looked at Miyamoto with horror on her face. Such a huge chakra. I've only seen it on one person. No, this kid's chakra is even bigger than that person. When Grandma Chiyo was quite young, she saw second Hokage, Senju Tobirama, that kind of huge chakra, which was quite scary. However, Senju Tobirama is much worse than Miyamoto. This huge chakra is even more frightening than the tailed beast. After all, the way ninjas use chakra is much stronger than the tailed beast. Wind-style double spiral shuriken. Miyamoto's spiral shuriken is not the kind of Uzumaki Naruto. It needs the help of Shadow Clone to get it done. On the left and right hands, each has a spiral shuriken, making a noisy sound of piercing eardrums. The moment the two spiral shurikens took shape, Miyamoto flicked his hand. Swish! Swish! One after the other, they were thrown out at the same time. Under the gaze of everyone, the first spiral shuriken hit the seal symbol directly. Boom! At the same time as the first explosion sounded, there was a dazzling light. Boom! Click! Boom! The second explosion was mixed with the sound of breaking. The four of Kakashi opened their eyes and looked at the broken flash. As for the boulder just now, it had been turned into stone powder. Chapter 57 Art is Explosion 2/4 Chapter 57, Gaara. Uzumaki Naruto rushed to the cave first, with an anxious face. Kakashi couldn't call Uzumaki Naruto. The 8th class followed closely behind. Miyamoto frowned and followed. To a certain extent, Uzumaki Naruto is really not suitable to be a ninja. He is too impulsive and too impatient. The two most central words of a ninja, forbearance, cannot be seen in Uzumaki Naruto. After following in, the scene inside fell into Miyamoto's eyes. The ghetto statue has disappeared, and only Deidara and the red sand scorpion are left in the cave, as well as the dead 5th case Gaara. Gaara. Seeing Gaara's body being seated by Deidara, Uzumaki Naruto was agitated and looked at Deidara angrily. You bastard, what did you do? Give Gaara back. While speaking, Uzumaki Naruto was about to rush out, but a flash of thunder flashed, and Miyamoto's figure passed Uzumaki Naruto with a small sword in his hand. Lightning-style thousand-bird blade. Stab it. The figure of Miyamoto killed Deidara almost instantly, and the sword in his hand wiped Deidara's head. Half of Deidara's head was cut off with a single knife, and his body turned into a pool of white mud, wrapping Gaara's body and melting into the ground. Miyamoto frowned, and when he was about to make another shot, Scarlet Sand Scorpion's Crimson Scorpion Liuhu's tail attacked and killed Miyamoto. Ding ding ding. Blocking 3 moves in a row, seizing the gap, Miyamoto jumped back in front of Uzumaki Naruto. Calm down, Naruto, you don't look like Hokage. While speaking, Miyamoto glanced at the hole behind him, and Deidara appeared there carrying Gaara's body. It's so dangerous, so dangerous. Is it worthy of being the leader of the 3 colors of Konoha? After taking a deep look at Miyamoto, Deidara dropped a toucan, picked up Gaara's body, and walked out of the cave, while taking a look at Uzumaki Naruto. 9 tails, if you want to get back this guy's body, follow him. When Uzumaki Naruto heard this, his face was full of anger, and he rushed out immediately, with a faint red chakra emerging from his body. Miyamoto took a look and clearly felt the seal in Uzumaki Naruto's body, which had begun to loosen due to multiple leaks. When Kakashi saw Naruto chasing him out, his expression changed, and he was about to follow. Naruto, wait a minute. One hand blocks Kakashi, Miyamoto blocks Kakashi. I'm going after Naruto, Kakashi you stay and deal with him. Miyamoto looked at Kakashi. Don't worry, I know more about what's in Naruto's body than you. Looking at Miyamoto, Kakashi nodded with a serious face. Then Naruto and Gaara. I'll leave it to you, Musashi. Miyamoto chased after him in an instant, and Kakashi looked at Miyamoto's back, a little worried, but quickly calmed down, turned around and the 3 of them looked at the red sand scorpion with a serious face. Kakashi looked solemnly. Grandma Chiyo, although the red sand scorpion is your grandson, but... Grandma Chiyo remained expressionless. I see. Miyamoto quickly caught up with Uzumaki Naruto. Looking at Deidara in the sky, Miyamoto said. Naruto, use Shadow Clone, I'll send you up, it's up to you whether you can take him down. Hearing Miyamoto's words, Uzumaki Naruto did not doubt Miyamoto's words. I see, then I'll leave it to you. Musashi. Boom. A shadow clone appeared beside Uzumaki Naruto. Miyamoto grabbed Uzumaki Naruto one by one, and jumped forward step by step. Superior. A huge burst of force erupted, throwing Uzumaki Naruto directly in the direction of Deidara. Whoosh. There was a sound of breaking through the air, and Uzumaki Naruto's body quickly approached Deidara. Hearing a voice behind him, Deidara turned his head and saw that Uzumaki Naruto, who had already rubbed Rasengan, was very close. What? Uzumaki Naruto doesn't care about Deidara's panic. Uzumaki Naruto, who is influenced by Nine Tails chakra at the moment, is quite angry. You bastard, get down for me. Rasengan hits Deidara, although the speed is fast, but for a cage level strong like Deidara, there are some shortcomings. With a sneer, Deidara avoided and said, too slow. Seeing Deidara dodge, Uzumaki Naruto's eyes were fixed, and the attack speed suddenly accelerated. It's now. Without any hesitation, Rasengan pressed directly on the body of the white toucan under Deidara's feet, smashing its back, and at the same time making it lose the ability to fly, and the body of Gaara in its mouth also fell towards the bottom go. Seeing Gaara's body, Uzumaki Naruto didn't hesitate, and at the same time he grabbed it, the two fell from the sky. Seeing this scene, Deidara's face was ugly, was counted. Uzumaki Naruto's target was not him in the first place, but the flying bird. Chakra flocked to the flying bird that was about to fall, trying to reshape it, but suddenly, a kunai shot the flying bird. Deidara's expression changed, and he jumped off to the side, just now. Boom. Flying birds explode. After landing, Deidara looked at Miyamoto, who was chasing him from the other side, and Uzumaki Naruto, who was holding Gaara's body. His face was full of sadness and anger, and his eyes were fixed on him. His face was solemn. Miyamoto smiled slightly and looked at Deidara. Art is exploding. Hearing Miyamoto's words, Deidara's face changed slightly, looking at Miyamoto. I see, it seems that you also know what art is. But I'm sorry, even so, I'm still going to be here today, killing you, Hearing this, Miyamoto smiled undeniably, then fixed his eyes, and plunged the special chakra sword into the ground. Lightning style. Walk. With Miyamoto at the center, while a huge electric current sinks into the ground, it also attacks Deidara. Facing the electric current, Deidara jumped up high and stood on the tree after cutting. Has it been discovered? If you turn over the ground, you can see that there is a huge clay centipede in the soil at this moment, which has lost its effect. Lightning style restrains earth style. Miyamoto's lightning style is Deidara's natural nemesis, and he is not afraid of Deidara's methods at all, except for Deidara's C0 self-destruct. Looks like it won't work if you don't use some trump card like means. While talking, he threw a small dragon-shaped clay object to the ground, and Deidara made a seal with one hand. C2 Dragon. Boom. The giant flying dragon made of explosive clay is quite majestic. After Deidara flew on the flying dragon, a small flying dragon was spit out and rushed to Miyamoto and Uzumaki Naruto, looking at Miyamoto. Art is a blast. Crack. Boom. Chapter 58. The artistic duo is finished 3/4. Chapter 58. In the smoke of the explosion, Miyamoto retreated directly with the dead bodies of Uzumaki Naruto and Gaara. Feeling the increasingly restless Nine Tails chakra in Uzumaki Naruto's body, Miyamoto frowned, and his mental power directly wrapped the seal on his stomach. Tick. The consciousness of Miyamoto and Uzumaki Naruto came to a dark space like a sewer, and looked up at the darkness behind a huge iron gate. Where is this place? It feels so familiar. Uzumaki Naruto was a little dazed, looking at the surrounding environment. It seemed that he had been here before, but he couldn't remember the specifics, but he generally felt that he should have been here. Miyamoto looked around quietly, and said, "This is not any other place, but the sealed space inside your body. Naruto, that. It's the monster sealed in your body, Nine Tails." 3 years ago, Miyamoto was not strong enough, and he had to rely on Sharingan's pupil power to get into Gaara's body, but now it's different, and he doesn't need Sharingan. Uzumaki Naruto followed Miyamoto's fingers, and looked up at the darkness behind the sealed iron gate. The horror and hatred emanating from inside made Uzumaki Naruto tremble. A pair of vertical pupils that were as big as lanterns and full of hatred were staring at him and Miyamoto viciously through the sealed iron gate. Seeing Nine Tails for the first time, Uzumaki Naruto didn't know how to feel, and he was silent for a while with mixed feelings. Nine Tails. Miyamoto's eyes were not afraid at all. After glancing at the Nine Tails chakra leaked through the seal, Miyamoto met the pair of animal pupils. There is no problem with the seal. Fourth Hokage originally intended to let Uzumaki Naruto slowly master the power of Nine Tails, but he ignored many problems. Although he didn't want to intervene, Naruto had a bond with him after all, so Miyamoto decided. Looking at Miyamoto, after staring at it for a while, Nine Tails felt the clarity in Miyamoto's gaze, and couldn't help saying, "What is your identity?" I feel the familiar chakra. Snapped. With hands in mudra, a stream of chakra condensed, Miyamoto looked at Nine Tails. Is that so? Unfortunately, this is the first time I've seen you. I'm in a hurry, so I won't talk to you much. Just in case. Wood-style Myojin Gate Seal 10. Hearing Miyamoto's voice, Nine Tails' pupils shrank, and he raised his head suddenly. Torii gates descended from the sky, sealing his body together with chakra completely with lightning speed. Without being irritable, he made a move, and stared at Miyamoto with a pair of animal eyes. So it is. Wood style. On Miyamoto's body, Nine Tails really felt the terrifying pressure of the enemies he had faced before. The god of ninjas, Senju Hashirama, that wood-style man who smiles and scratches his dog's head. After taking a look at the completely suppressed Nine Tails, Miyamoto's face was expressionless and his figure faded. He doesn't give a damn about how Nine Tails feels. After exiting the sealed space in an instant, he saw two little flying dragons attacking directly in front of him. Miyamoto put Uzumaki Naruto behind him and sealed with both hands. Wood-style wood expulsion jutsu. The ghost face shield that was used when facing sprites was instantly blocked in front of Miyamoto. With all its strength, it was able to block Susanoo's slashing attack, and it was easy to receive Deidara's attack. After using wood expulsion jutsu on Miyamoto's body, the three clones left immediately. Boom. The huge dust from the explosion blocked the view, and Deidara frowned, making the C2 dragon under his feet want to fly, but the flight was not high. The shields parted, the smoke cleared, and Miyamoto looked at Deidara on the C2 dragon. Deidara. It's over. Miyamoto said something, with an indifferent smile on his face. He didn't pay attention to Deidara in the sky at all, and made another movement. Miyamoto directly raised his hand to form a mudra, and a beam of thunder burst out from his body, rushing into the air. At the same time, in the three directions of east, west and north, each has a lightning bolt shooting at the same point. In the original book, the combination of lightning-style ninjutsu that almost destroyed Konoha village. Watching this scene, Deidara felt a suffocation of death for no reason, and it became more and more intense. Stab it. Without hesitation, Deidara, who was also the #1 ruthless person, directly tore off his clothes, grabbed a handful of detonating clay and stuffed it directly into the mouth on his chest, and then his body began to turn black and gradually transparent. Deidara's face, there was a sneer on his face, and he looked up at Miyamoto. I feel it. Your technique can kill me. So next, it's my ultimate art, I'm going to blow myself up. The power of this technique has a range of 10 kilometers. You can't escape. After I die, I will turn into art, an unprecedented explosion, and leave unprecedented traces here. My art will be praised like never before. My art is. Seeing Deidara, whose figure had become extremely thin, Miyamoto's complexion changed drastically, and after finishing the seal in his hand, he shouted. Drink. Lightning style lei menglei. Stab it. The sound of thunder rushing down from the sky interrupted Deidara's words, and the terrifying thunder and lightning power poured down directly. Hum. After the sound of extremely condensed and suppressed energy, the next step. Boom. The sound of the explosion resounding for hundreds of miles, and the terrifying light that covered the sun for an instant. The surging explosion wave spread directly for tens of miles. Call. With a soft sigh, Miyamoto exhaled slightly, and the Mangekyo Sharingan in his eyes disappeared. Pushing away the residual wood in front of him, Miyamoto showed a dignified face. C0 self-explosion. This power is enough to rank among the top among all ninjutsu. After a glance, even under his own lightning style, the power of CO was weakened, but it still flattened the surrounding environment. Miyamoto shook his head. He really didn't expect that Deidara would use this move so decisively, which led to some haste and failed to intercept this ninjutsu before CO was activated. Fortunately, under the enhancement of the Mangekyo pupil technique, wood-style wood expulsion jutsu's defense is really awesome, and successfully blocked this move. Glancing around, Uzumaki, Naruto and Gaara, who were fine, Miyamoto said. Naruto, take Gaara to find little Sakura and Grandma Chiyo, and see if they can do anything. Hearing Miyamoto's words, Uzumaki Naruto recovered from the attack just now, hugged Gaara's body, and ran back. On the way, I met the 3 Kakashi who also solved the Red Sand Scorpion. With Kakashi, the Red Sand Scorpion didn't last too long, or he had the will to die at all, and finally fell into the hands of Grandma Chiyo. The next thing is similar to the original book. Uzumaki Naruto's current strength is not very good, but Zuiden is indeed powerful. Mother-in-law Chiyo came to Gaara's side, Miyamoto's eyes flashed, and he recalled the reincarnation forbidden technique. Self-reincarnation. Chapter 59 Tsunade's request 4 quarters. Chapter 59. Bringing the dead back to life is, in a sense, quite frightening. In the perception, the breath of life of Grandma Chiyo gradually weakened, and Gaara, who had no breath at all, began to slowly exude the feeling of life again. Seeing this scene, Temari, who had already arrived behind, fell silent, and everyone present watched quietly. Miyamoto pondered, eyes flickering. This world is quite strange, such ninjutsu exists, and the court lady really doubts whether the Shinigami that exists in the ghoul seal really exists. Hidan, one of the members of Akatsuki, and the evil gods he believes in are all unclear. But it is certain that these so-called gods do not exist. This can only be blamed for the pit dug by Masashi Kishimoto and not filled. After looking at it for a while, Miyamoto withdrew his gaze. In his perception, there were already many auras, and some of them were familiar. There is no doubt that the people from Sunagakure came. People from Sunagakure came over and saw Gaara, who had nothing to do, and many ninjas were in tears. Seeing so many people crying, Miyamoto's heart was full of emotion. When I watched it as an outsider in my previous life, I didn't feel much emotion, but now, I feel some emotion in my heart. After sending Gaara back to Sunagakure, Miyamoto's mission this time was perfectly completed. When the Kakashi class and Gaara and other Sunagakure executives bid farewell, Miyamoto was alone, ready to embark on the return journey. For Miyamoto, many things are unnecessary. He is not Uzumaki Naruto, and he came to save Gaara just because of the mission. Sure enough. Just like what they said, you will leave quietly alone. Just walking out of the entrance of Sunagakure, in front of Miyamoto, Temari's face showed such color. Aren't you going back with Naruto and the others? With a serious face, Temari said, with a dignified expression on his face. You should know, right? Naruto's identity, if there is such a thing as Gaara. Hearing Temari's words, Miyamoto looked up at Temari. As long as Kakashi is here, my mission this time is to save 5th Kazekage. Hearing Miyamoto's words, Temari was stunned. Speaking of facing Miyamoto, Temari bowed to Miyamoto. This time, thank you for taking the shot and saving Gaara. Hearing this, he pondered for a while. Miyamoto glanced at Temari, who lowered his head, gave a rare smile, and walked past Temari. No, it was Chiyopo and Naruto who saved Gaara. I just took a shot to solve the enemy, so, goodbye, Temari. Raising his body and looking at Miyamoto, who was leaving, Temari's eyes flickered for a while, then he retracted his gaze, turned around and walked towards Sunagakure. She just came over to say thank you, Shikamaru Green, ha ha ha. So that's how it is. Was Grandma Chiyo the only one who died in this battle? After reading the detailed task content submitted by Miyamoto, Tsunade spoke with some emotion, and fell into the memory. Miyamoto doesn't understand Chiyo, and he doesn't have any feelings. It's just that Miyamoto has some emotions about sacrificing himself to save Gaara. However, as Tsunade's old opponent in the Second Ninja World War, hearing the news of Chiyo's death, Tsunade was quite emotional in his heart. After recalling for a while, Tsunade raised his head and looked at Miyamoto. Musashi, there is one thing I want to ask you. Looking at Tsunade with a serious face, Miyamoto nodded after pondering for a while and did not refuse. In the hands of Tsunade, Miyamoto can get what he wants. The concern of such elders is actually very important to Miyamoto. Miyamoto will not refuse Tsunade's request as long as it does not involve principles. Coming out of the Hokage building, Miyamoto went straight home. Both Hong and Hinata are here, and the three of them basically live together now, and Hong has also moved here. In the Hokage world, it seems that all ninja families are monogamous, but if you have the ability and strength to conquer more women, others will not say much. Everyone knows about Miyamoto, Hinata, and the Red Trio, but there is no problem. With Miyamoto's current reputation and strength, no one thinks there is anything wrong with it. As for Tsunade, let alone, as her clan, Miyamoto, even if she didn't change her surname to Senju, but Miyamoto with wood style and the same sage body features, there is no doubt that Miyamoto is a member of the Senju clan. The big task of spreading branches and leaves was handed over to him, and Tsunade was thinking about whether to push Shizune to Miyamoto's side, but it was just a thought. About 3 days later, the Kakashi class returned to Konoha. In the fight with the Red Sand Scorpion, Kakashi still used Mangekyo, so he just lay down now. At noon on the 4th day, Hinata and Yuhihong went shopping. Swish. While doing some basic training in his own small yard, a figure fell beside Miyamoto, wearing an Enbu mask on his body, and the very familiar Chakra, Miyamoto knew, was Tsunade's confidant. What's matter? Miyamoto just glanced at Anbu beside him, and asked. Azuki Shion, Anbu, who was in charge of contacting Miyamoto several years ago, Moonlight Hayate's lover, it seems that this girl is not planning to retire from Anbu, nor is she planning to marry. Is a very dedicated woman, among Konoha, one of Miyamoto's few friends. Master Hokage asked you to come over. Now Master Hokage is with 2 advisors, to discuss about the Kakashi class. Azuki Shion pointedly reminded Miyamoto, and then disappeared directly and left quickly. Stopping what he was doing, Miyamoto raised his eyes and looked in the direction of the Hokage building. Are you finally going to contact them? Well, now I'm not afraid of anything. After saying this, he left the house with a calm expression in his training uniform. Walking on the road, I held a small book in my hand, which was written in Chinese, and it was information about Danzo. Danzo. Shisui's right eye. Distinguished heavenly god's ray of light. Like Tsukuyomi's attack type illusion. If so, no fear. Wood style. Is also not worth mentioning. The only troublesome things are the Izanagi on his arm and the Li Xixiang seal. 11 minutes of invincibility, Sharingan's technique, is really quite a bug. Miyamoto opened his mouth and said, for Danzo, this rather shady person, Miyamoto has just crossed over an identified cheat, taking advantage of the fact that his memory is still good, he has prepared all his information bit by bit. Otherwise, by now, it will almost be forgotten. After reading all the information about Danzo, Miyamoto has come to the Hokage building, closed the book and walked inside. Chapter 60 Pid Danzo 1/10 Chapter 60 Just as Miyamoto came to the door, he heard Tsunade's voice from the meeting room. I refuse. About the arrangement of the Kakashi class, I already have an arrangement next. With him here, Naruto's safety is not a problem. Just hearing this, Miyamoto knew the reason, and couldn't help recalling in his mind, 4 days ago, Tsunade asked him to. Before Kakashi is discharged from the hospital, temporarily, leads the Kakashi class. In the mission report, Miyamoto mentioned Kakashi's physical exhaustion during this mission. Raise your hand and knock on the door, bang bang bang. Miyamoto's eyes flickered, and after hearing the sound of Tsunade coming in from inside, Miyamoto pushed open the door and walked in. Glancing at the few people in the meeting room, Hokage consultants Mitokado Homura and Utatane Kaharu, standing at the window position holding Jiju, a raw face leaning on crutches, Danzo. And after seeing him, Tsunade's eyes were slightly joyful, and there was some restlessness. Master Hokage, what do you want from me? After nodding to several elders, Miyamoto looked at Tsunade, ignoring Danzo standing by the window. After General was disbanded, Danzo didn't have any duties on the surface. It was because of this that Miyamoto didn't even bother to nod. Musashi, you came just in time. Tsunade took Miyamoto's words and looked directly at Mitomanyan and Zhuansha Kaharu. After receiving Kakashi's report, I have arranged it. This person's strength is enough to deal with any unexpected situation. With him here, what else do you need to worry about? Hearing this, Mitokado Homura and Utatane Kaharu frowned, and turned to look at Danzo at the window. After pondering for a while, Mitokado Homura asked, "How's it going, Danzo?" Miyamoto's eyes turned to look at Danzo, with a slight flicker. Remembering that Danzo will arrange a root ninja to participate in the next task, who exactly, Miyamoto can't remember. But that is the original work, here is now led by Miyamoto, he will not accept this player. There's nothing wrong with this. If the leader of the three colors is the team leader. You don't need to worry too much. Anyway, I only prepared one team member on my side. As soon as Danzo finished speaking, Miyamoto spoke directly. No, the problem of the team members was already found when I first received the task. Mr. Danzo arranged for an unfamiliar player to come in, which would affect the tacit understanding of the team. Don't forget, who is the enemy you will face next? If the team members cannot guarantee a tacit understanding, I will terminate the mission. Quiet. In the meeting room, the atmosphere suddenly became quiet. Tsunade's face was expressionless, but his calm attitude showed that Tsunade's mood was quite comfortable. Then, the arrangement about Sai will be withdrawn. After being silent for a while, Danzo, who knew that there was nothing to be done, did not insist on it, but planned to take back the pawn Sai. Still interrupted by Miyamoto. The ninja arranged by Mr. Danzo, there should be no team arrangement right now. In this case, it is better to stay in the 8th class that I led before. I just transferred Hinata from the 8th class to form the Kakashi class. The 8th class is short of one person. The task performed by the 8th class is not very difficult. The two parties can work together for a while, because the future cooperation will increase silently. Hearing this, Danzo looked at Miyamoto with rather deep eyes, unable to see his thoughts. And Miyamoto also looked directly at Danzo without any fear. The indifference in his eyes made Danzo feel inexplicable in his heart. After taking a look at Miyamoto. It's up to you. Hokage office. Good job. Ha ha ha, Musashi. Tsunade sat on the chair in a happy mood and smiled happily. At the beginning, Tsunade was quite upset when he was cornered by 3 people. But after Miyamoto came, Tsunade felt better. Danzo is stealing chickens without losing money. He didn't fluctuate because of Tsunade's praise. Miyamoto knew clearly that if it wasn't for his strength and status, he wouldn't have had the chance to speak today. Because of strength and status, Miyamoto's words, even Mitokado Homura and Utatane Kaharu, did not speak. Well, to be strong, a man relies on his fist, and Miyamoto's fist is quite big. Musashi, you should know, right? That man. After laughing, Tsunade suddenly became serious and looked at Miyamoto. Be careful with your tasks in the future. Nodding for granted, Miyamoto has always been very concerned about Danzo. The ninja world level is not absolute. There are many things that capsize in the gutter. Ask for flowers. After hesitating for a while, Miyamoto's eyes flickered slightly, and he looked at Tsunade. 5th generation. There is one thing that I think I should tell you. Confused, Tsunade looked at Miyamoto. What's the matter? Miyamoto's face is slightly weird. Danzo has a wood-style aura, and I felt the same aura when 3rd generation died. Boom. With a fist squeeze, there was a crackling sound, and a murderous intent flashed across Tsunade's body. When the 3rd generation died, the breath of wood-style, who else? Senju Hashirama. The same wood-style breath, that is to say, Danzo's body has Senju Hashirama's cells, and not a little bit. It's impossible for Tsunade not to know about wood-style's research, and it's impossible for Tsunade not to know about Danzo's intervention, but what she didn't expect is 0. Danzo transplanted it himself. After being gloomy for a while, Tsunade restrained his emotions well. I see. Leaving the Hokage building, Miyamoto thought to himself. Danzo. Don't worry too much. Miyamoto smiled slightly, and was not worried about Danzo at all, but after this time, Miyamoto and Hinata were considered to be out of the 8th class, and after Sai entered, it was impossible to retreat. Sai can still be saved, it depends on whether Inuzuka Kiba and Aburame Shino can turn Sai into a Hokage talent like the 7th class in the original book. These Miyamoto don't care. Back home, Hinata and Hong hadn't come back yet. Miyamoto didn't continue training or anything, but took out a seal scroll, took out some chakra ore from it, and started tinkering. These were obtained during traveling. The sword in Miyamoto's hand is made of the best chakra ore. Speaking of which, apart from staying with his woman for life, Miyamoto still has a small wish to achieve, and that day is not far away. Working on his own things, Miyamoto didn't care about other things. Now his strength has reached a bottleneck, and it is no longer possible to achieve a breakthrough in training. So there is no rush. It's better to slowly fulfill this little wish of mine. To be honest, Miyamoto's current pursuit of strength is not so strong anymore. Since that day, it has almost disappeared. Chapter 61 Heaven and Earth Bridge Mission 2/10. Chapter 61. Country of Grass, Heaven and Earth Bridge. Followed by Uzumaki Naruto, Haruno Sakura, and Hinata. Miyamoto took a look at the empty Tianji bridge and the quiet bridge across the bridge, and looked away. Turning his head to look at Uzumaki Naruto and Haruno Sakura beside him, Miyamoto said calmly. Naruto and small Sakura team, Hinata and I team. Remember, the first is to capture alive, and the second is to solve the other party. Quote. Miyamoto's face showed seriousness. Naruto, don't act rashly, everything must be done according to my instructions. Once the battle starts, you must finish the battle quickly. You too, watch out for that. Orochimaru, one of the Sannin. Hearing Miyamoto's arrangement, Haruno Sakura looked puzzled, and looked at Miyamoto. Captain Miyamoto, don't you use the transformation technique to get information? If it's like 903, what if the other party doesn't show up? Uzumaki Naruto also looked at Miyamoto. Compared with the original book, the team that came to Tiandichao this time was at least a lot more harmonious. Hinata didn't speak. For Miyamoto's decision, Hinata is extremely convinced. So far, Hinata has never seen Miyamoto make a mistake in judgment. Even if he is wrong, Hinata still believes in Miyamoto. Love really is a blinding thing, it's not necessary. Miyamoto glanced at the direction of Tiandichao blankly and explained. Because the opponent is Orochimaru. Miyamoto remembers this episode. This is the first time Uzumaki Naruto will explode the powerful fighting power of the Fox Code, so the memory is particularly deep. Miyamoto's words made Haruno Sakura and the two of them ponder, and they didn't open their mouths to refute. The four of them quietly waited for the arrival of the connector. Near noon, Hinata, who opened his white eyes to observe, suddenly stared. Miyamoto-kun, someone is coming. Hearing Hinata's words, Miyamoto made a gesture, and Uzumaki Naruto and Haruno Sakura beside him lay dormant, ready to strike at any time. Glancing at the two, especially Uzumaki Naruto, with his sealing technique, as long as he didn't want to unravel this technique, Chakra of 9 tails would never come out to make trouble. This battle, the task of dealing with Orochimaru, naturally fell on Miyamoto's head. Not long after, a person who couldn't see clearly, whose body was hidden under the windbreaker, appeared on the other side of the Tiandi bridge, and came directly to the middle of the bridge, quietly waiting for the person's arrival. After waiting for a while, in Miyamoto's perception, after another group of chakra had appeared, he raised his hand and made a gesture. Swish swish swish. 3 piercing sounds sounded, and Hinata, Haruno Sakura, and Uzumaki Naruto stood directly in front of the spy, and the master finally saw the face under the hood clearly. With solemn faces, Uzumaki Naruto and Haruno Sakura stared at each other. Yakushi Kabuto. On the bridge of heaven and earth, Uzumaki Naruto gritted his teeth with an ugly face. Double. Where is Sasuke? Hearing Uzumaki Naruto's culture, Yakushi Kabuto had a sneer on his face. It's you again, Naruto-kun. Seeing the appearance of the three, Yakushi Kabuto also took off his hood. Looking at the three, except for Hinata and Yakushi Kabuto, he didn't have much memory, and Haruno Sakura and Yakushi Kabuto remembered the others. They're all familiar faces. Orochimaru's deep voice sounded beside Yakushi Kabuto, and the snake eyes looked at Uzumaki Naruto and the three, but their eyes fell on Hinata. Blind eyes. No wonder. For a moment just now, he felt that he was being observed, and seeing the white eyes, it was normal. As soon as Orochimaru appeared, the aura at the top of the cage level made Uzumaki Naruto nervous and furious. Where is Orochimaru? Sasuke. Although angry, but this time, there is still no trace of 9 tails chakra on Naruto's body. Miyamoto felt relieved, activated the body flicker technique, and instantly came to the front of the three. Looking at Orochimaru, Miyamoto looked flat. Long time no see, Orochimaru. The task he received was to get back the information. For Miyamoto, this task didn't matter at all, because he already had the information, so there was no need for it. However, Miyamoto didn't want to refuse Tsunade's commission. The appearance of Miyamoto made Orochimaru shrink his pupils and looked at Miyamoto. Miyamoto-kun. Long time no see, you have changed a lot. Eyes flickering, Orochimaru, on top of Miyamoto, felt pretty intense pressure. Can you tell me where Uchiha Sasuke is? Miyamoto spoke directly, and Uzumaki Naruto and the three stood beside Miyamoto, 4 against 2, occupying an absolute advantage. Standing ready, Orochimaru looks at Miyamoto. This is impossible. Where is Mr. Sasuke? Can I tell you? Just kidding. Tell Miyamoto. Orochimaru can be sure, Uchiha Sasuke is going to be caught back to Konoha in all likelihood, the container that was cultivated with great difficulty. He doesn't want to just disappear like this. The negotiation failed. With a slight smile, Miyamoto said something, and the atmosphere on both sides suddenly became tense. Looking up at Orochimaru, Miyamoto instantly closed the seal with one hand. Fire-style dragon fire technique. Boom. The fire dragon roared directly at Yakushi Kabuto and Orochimaru. Yakushi Kabuto and Orochimaru easily dodged such an attack. Miyamoto's body surged with lightning, and rushed to Orochimaru's body in an instant, raising his hand to condense a huge chakra. Miyamoto fluid art cannon fist. Boom. After being hit by this punch firmly, Orochimaru's body was directly sent flying into the opposite forest, and Miyamoto's figure followed closely in front of Orochimaru. Ninja Massive Rasengan. Miyamoto's current chakra is quite terrifying, and there is no need to calculate chakra to use ninjutsu. One move Massive Rasengan successfully hit Orochimaru, but unfortunately. Looking at Orochimaru who was gradually turning into mud in the big pit, Miyamoto grinned. The life-saving means are still the same as 3 years ago, and they are still very strong. Not far from Miyamoto, Orochimaru's body emerged from the mud, looking at Miyamoto with a sneer. After all, the opponent is Miyamoto-kun. With a sneer, Miyamoto 2.9 took off his windbreaker and put on the Jonin vest. Miyamoto bent slightly, held his chakra knife in his backhand, and looked at Orochimaru. Orochimaru. Let's fight. Thorn. A bolt of lightning flashed past Shigemoto's figure and arrived in front of Orochimaru in an instant. Ding ding ding. Chakra Teidao is quite strong cutting force when Miyamoto injects wind-style chakra. However, Orochimaru's grass pheasant sword can be called a magic weapon, and the chakra sword did not take advantage. In physical combat, Miyamoto suppressed Orochimaru with his own speed, but after all, he is a top powerhouse who survived the battlefield, and Zhang is still old and spicy. Clang. The Tachi and the grass pheasant sword collided and sparks collided. Miyamoto's body jumped back in an instant, and he raised his hand to complete the seal. Lightning-style Chidori Shuriken. Chapter 62 Wood Style. Birth of the Tree World 3/10. Chapter 62 Thorn. While the lightning-style chakra galloped towards Orochimaru, it condensed into lightning shurikens, overwhelmingly killing Orochimaru, blocking all his escape routes. Hey, I often try this trick. A smile appeared on Orochimaru's face, looking at the lightning-style shurikens coming from the sky, recalling Sasuke's Chidori Chinban, raised his hand and threw several shurikens, and made seals with both hands. Ninja Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. Thorn. The lightning-style shuriken and the shuriken collided with each other, and at the same time as the lightning flashed, Miyamoto's second ninjutsu had already been sealed, and he looked up at Orochimaru. Lightning-style Thunder Tiger Kill. Lightning-style ninjutsu learned in the hands of Kakashi. Boom. The thunder and lightning condensed into a wolf shape, and ran towards Orochimaru at a very fast speed. Facing this move, Orochimaru was not worried, and made a mudra with both hands. Earth-style Earth Wall. A wall of earth was formed in an instant, blocking it in front of it, and the wolf-shaped thunder rushed to the wall. There was nothing wrong with lightning-style restraining Earth-style, but Earth-style was also able to conduct electricity. 17 At the moment when the wolf-shaped thunder was about to dissipate, the chakra sword in Miyamoto's hand was clenched tightly, and his figure dissipated. Lightning-style Lei Shun. Puff. In front of Miyamoto, Orochimaru's body was directly nailed to the tree by Miyamoto. With a cold smile on his face, he looked at Miyamoto. Sure enough, Miyamoto-kun's strength is unbelievable. But Miyamoto-kun, I can't be defeated so easily. Hiss. Just finished speaking, Orochimaru in front of Miyamoto suddenly turned into a puddle of mud. Miyamoto frowned. Soil double. No, this is a snake double. Miyamoto's expression changed. The mud in front of him suddenly turned into snakes, entwined around Miyamoto's sword, and was about to bite Miyamoto. As the poison among Sanin's pornographic drugs, Miyamoto can be sure that one bite of these snakes, under such circumstances, is absolutely fatal. His face returned to normal, and a seal was formed on one hand, and Miyamoto's hand flashed with lightning. Lightning-style lightning flow burning kill. A burst of blinding lightning flashed, not to mention these snakes, even this tree was scorched black by lightning in an instant. This trick was created by Miyamoto himself. The power depends on the amount of chakra used by Miyamoto, and the principle of this trick is very simple. Lightning-style chakra flows at a high frequency, forming a high-temperature arc of lightning, causing terrifying burns and carbonization. The moment it hits, it will cause terrifying damage to the enemy. Pulling out the chakra Teidao, Miyamoto didn't even look at the group of snakes that had turned into ashes and the slowly falling tree, when my eyes fell on Orochimaru for 10 seconds. At this moment, Orochimaru was getting out of his mouth. Orikyu body replacement technique, the most disgusting body replacement technique, none of them. Miyamoto, who no longer wants to communicate, raises the Teidao in his hand, with lightning-style chakra all over his body. Orochimaru, sure enough. You are the most disgusting ninja I have ever seen. Your ninjutsu is disgusting, and you are disgusting. God knows if this guy's current gender is male or female. The soul is male and female, and the container is female. Thinking about this situation, Miyamoto thinks there are too many. Ninjutsu is as long as it is practical, Miyamoto-kun. Looking at Miyamoto, Orochimaru had a smile on his face, not caring about Miyamoto's disgust at all. You are very strong, but Miyamoto-kun, no matter how strong you are, how long can you live? Are you interested in studying the truth of the world with me? Gaining eternal life. Seriously, Orochimaru really admires Miyamoto. He is extremely powerful, has the 5 major attribute ninjutsu at his fingertips, and even has the wood-style blood succession limit. It is too wasteful for such a talent to stay in Konoha. Boom. But waiting for Orochimaru's answer, not yes, but a powerful big ball Rasengan. After Orochimaru dodged this trick, he jumped up and stepped on the tree. When he wanted to leave, Miyamoto retracted the chakra Teidao, with his hands in mudra, and his face was flat. Orochimaru is my home field. Haven't you studied wood style? Just let you see, what is real wood style. Quickly formed mudras, crossed fingers together, and the chakra on the body condensed. Orochimaru, who had just landed on the branch, saw Miyamoto's movement, and his face changed drastically. Could it be? Opening his eyes, Miyamoto looked at Orochimaru and smiled coldly. Wood-style birth of the tree world. Boom. Almost instantly, living giant trees burst out of the originally dense forest, with Miyamoto as the center, covering a huge forest with a radius of more than 10 miles in a few breaths, forming a forest in a blink of an eye. Up. Looking at the giant trees around, Orochimaru's face showed a very solemn color, and he turned to the official text. Unexpectedly, Miyamoto-san, you have developed wood style to such an extent. Hearing Orochimaru's words, Miyamoto smiled coldly, the seal on his hand remained unchanged, and just looked at Orochimaru like this. Orochimaru. Next, it's time to get serious. There's no escape, you're going to die here today. Swish swish swish. As Miyamoto's voice fell, the trees in the entire forest seemed to come alive, and countless branches and vines strangled towards Orochimaru in all directions. Not good. Without any hesitation, the moment Miyamoto launched the attack, Orochimaru acted directly, constantly dodging the attack from the gap of the attack. The software modification he developed, under Miyamoto's attack, is like a snake in O2O, wandering non-stop, unusually slippery. Shaking his head, Miyamoto stared. Wood-style cutting technique. In the next moment, countless sharp woods, like javelins, shot at Orochimaru from all directions, sealing all Orochimaru's hiding space. The extremely fast sharp wood is simply a must-kill move for those who live in the birth of the tree world. Faced with this move, Orochimaru's face was full of dignity, and after finishing the seal, he took a picture of the whole person. The formation of 10,000 snakes. He opened his mouth and spit out an immeasurable number of terrifying snakes, completely enveloping himself, forming a snake ball, with the heads of each snake exposed outside, opening his mouth, and spit out a sharp sword blade that exudes cold light. Spin like revolving heaven, the absolute defense of the Hyuga clan. Puff puff. In an instant, blood flew, and Miyamoto's cuttings, technique, were all inserted into the snake ball, and fell from the air to the ground. The snake ball scattered, and Miyamoto saw Orochimaru lying there, motionless. Frowning, Miyamoto sneered disdainfully. Crash. The next moment, a hole was opened in the ground under the branch where Miyamoto was standing, and Orochimaru's head came out of the hole. He opened his mouth, and spit out a pheasant sword spit out by a snake head. Seeing this scene, a sneer appeared on the corner of Miyamoto's mouth, and he controlled chakra. Boom. Chapter 63 Wood Style Suppression 4/10. Chapter 63. Puff. Orochimaru was just about to attack, but his head was crushed to pieces by a tree that suddenly grew up. Rescuing this attack, Miyamoto looked up at Orochimaru's body. Orochimaru's figure, once again used the Orochi Flow body replacement technique, came out of his body. Panting, Orochimaru looked solemnly, and looked at the plain face of Yingben. As expected of wood-style Miyamoto-kun, this power is really enviable. Miyamoto didn't answer, but looked at Orochimaru. Tree roots broke through the ground, and continued to grab Orochimaru. Orochimaru's face changed and he kept walking, but in the overwhelming attack, his limbs were quickly pierced by Miyamoto's wood style, and he was directly tied to the trunk of a big tree. Approaching the restrained Orochimaru, he shook his head. Orochimaru. Miyamoto looked at Orochimaru with a calm face. You know nothing about the power of wood style. The strength of wood style is quite strong. Miyamoto is a proper first-generation wood style, not half-baked like Yamato. Orochimaru can jump for such a long time. One is his own ability, and the other is that Miyamoto is not too serious. Being completely imprisoned by Miyamoto, Orochimaru's face was gloomy. The 4 branches running through his body not only scattered his chakra, but also continuously absorbed his chakra. Wood style. As expected, Miyamoto-kun should have been killed at any cost 3 years ago. Orochimaru sneered, looking at Miyamoto. At that time, if I bet my life, I should be able to kill you. I don't care, although I don't know where Orochimaru has confidence, but Miyamoto can be sure that even 3 years ago, Orochimaru still couldn't kill himself. Looking at Orochimaru, Miyamoto said, if you have no other means, then fall here. Orochimaru. Pulling out the chakra sword, Miyamoto's eyes were calm, and there was an electric light flashing on the sword. After the words fell, when Miyamoto was about to make a move. Boom. A terrifying chakra came from the direction of the Tiandichao. The terrifying power, even the birth of the tree world, could not resist this force. The target of this force was plus. Go straight this way. With serious eyes and doubts, Miyamoto turned his head and saw the terrifying light of chakra. He bit his finger, and Miyamoto pressed his hand on the ground. Summoning quadruple Rashomon. Bang 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 bang. 4 huge gates carved with grimaces stood in front of Miyamoto, and at the next moment, a devastating force acted on the quadruple Rashomon too. Boom. The terrifying explosion wave directly leveled everything within a kilometer radius. Ka ka ka. A round wooden ball spread out, and Miyamoto raised his eyes to see that he had come to him, with 5 tails shaking behind him, and a terrifying chakra wave exuded from his body. Blind eyes. He opened his eyes and saw Hinata, who was in a mess but not seriously injured, and Haruno Sakura who had been injured in the distance. Miyamoto breathed a sigh of relief, and probably knew why Uzumaki Naruto broke 9 tails. 5 tails, the 6th tail is looming, and Miyamoto doesn't care about Orochimaru, just looking at Uzumaki Naruto like this. Roar. With a roar towards Miyamoto, 5 tails Naruto, the huge red ominous chakra, rushed towards Miyamoto directly, and the speed was quite fast. Wood-style birth of the tree world. Once again performing the birth of the tree boundary, Miyamoto's eyes were fixed, and giant trees covered the open space in an instant, and at the same time, thick roots and branches entwined directly towards 5 tails Naruto. Compared to the sane Orochimaru, 5 tails Naruto's combat power, although quite sturdy, is easier to deal with than Orochimaru. Under the continuous wood-style offensive, 5 tails Naruto was quickly restrained. However, under the boost of that terrifying chakra, the terrifying power that erupted from 5 tails Naruto's body was able to faintly break free from the suppression of the tree roots, and that huge chakra gave off an inexhaustible feeling. Miyamoto frowned, made a mudra with both hands, raised his hand, and a word, Zuo, appeared in the palm of his hand. A giant hand protruded from the huge tree trunk, synchronized with the movement of Miyamoto raising his hand at the moment. Wood-style or Shun-style Kuo and Rukwang hanging hands. As Miyamoto raised his hand and pressed down, the giant hand directly covered 5 tails Naruto's body. Feeling that 5 tails Naruto's resistance had disappeared, and the huge and ominous chakra had been hidden, Miyamoto put down his handprints, and the giant hand turned into a big tree, and the branches that entwined and imprisoned Uzumaki Naruto also scattered. It revealed Uzumaki Naruto, whose skin had been peeled off by chakra of 9 tails. He was in a miserable state and frowned. Swish. Naruto. Haruno Sakura, with a bloodline on his forehead and an injury on his body, came here. When Haruno Sakura saw Naruto's appearance, he was worried and directly used medical ninjutsu. Hinata followed by returning to Miyamoto's side. Miyamoto-kun, how is the situation? Shaking his head, Miyamoto said. It's okay, after Naruto wakes up, we'll decide what to do next. It didn't take long for Uzumaki Naruto to wake up. After a little rest, he chose to return to Konoha. Along the way, the atmosphere was a little silent. Miyamoto didn't open his mouth to speak either, and the group of people just hurried on their way in silence. After a day, in the early hours of the morning, in the Hokage office, after the 4 of Miyamoto reported the mission, Tsunade's face was serious. Orochimaru has escaped. This is within my expectation. That guy may not be as strong as you, but his life-saving methods are endless. It is not an accident that he ran away. After Tsunade finished speaking, he looked at Uzumaki Naruto and Haruno Sakura without saying a word. This time, if something happened to the two of them, even if Orochimaru could escape, he would have to pay a heavy price. Facing Tsunade's gaze, Haruno Sakura and Uzumaki Naruto lowered their heads and did not speak. Seeing Uzumaki Naruto bowed his head in silence, Tsunade sighed helplessly. Just get the information, Musashi and Hinata will disband first, and if there is a mission later, I will notify you. Naruto, little Sakura, you stay here first, point. Leaving Hokage's office, Miyamoto and Hinata went straight home. This time, the task was somewhat tiring. Whether it is Orochimaru or Yakushi Kabuto, they are not easy to get along with. If you don't pay attention, you will capsize in the gutter. When facing Yakushi Kabuto, Haruno Sakura was wounded, and Uzumaki Naruto was enraged and released 9 tails. A ninja, especially a ninja like that, no one can be underestimated. Chapter 64 Miyamoto's Bond 5/10 Chapter 64 Back home, Miyamoto took off his windbreaker and handed it to Hinata beside him. Naturally taking Miyamoto's trench coat, Hinata looked at Miyamoto. Miyamoto-kun, I'll put hot water for you, you take a bath first. While saying this, Hinata started to walk towards the bathroom with a normal look on her face. Watching Hinata's movements, Miyamoto smiled slightly, and suddenly reached out and took Hinata's little hand. Hinata turned her head in doubt, and looked at Miyamoto. Miyamoto-kun. Tilting her head and looking puzzled, it's not too cute. Miyamoto tasted Yuhihong's body, the feeling of a mature royal sister, it's not too good. However, the attributes of a soft girl like Hinata also have a huge lethality to men. Hinata. Slightly approaching Hinata, Miyamoto's face is full of anticipation. Let's wash together today. Hearing Miyamoto's words, Hinata was stunned for a moment, and then his face turned red, but he didn't faint. After all, Hinata and Miyamoto have experienced many things, and their resistance has long been greatly increased. After humming lightly, Hinata let Miyamoto hold hands, and the two walked towards the bathroom together. It is not enough to omit 3 million words here. At the deepest point of love, it should have naturally developed to the next step, but... Gently stroking the long hair of Hinata who had passed out, sitting on the wooden corridor of her house, watching the flowers and plants in the small yard enjoying the sunshine. Life is so beautiful, Miyamoto's face shows a calm color, what he pursues is just such a happy afternoon. No power, no power, no world peace has anything to do with him. I just like this feeling. Gently stroking Hinata's hair, Miyamoto's other hand is holding an old notebook, flipping through it. What happened next? I don't remember very clearly, but what Miyamoto is most concerned about is the next task of the 10th class. Oh, are you back? Just when Miyamoto was looking at the small notebook in his hand, Hong's voice came, and he saw both Yaiban and Hinata. It's just right, I've already bought the vegetables. After closing the notebook, Miyamoto showed a smile on his face, carried Hinata, who had not yet woken up, to the sofa in the living room, and started cooking with Hong. Hong, how is your 10th class mission doing? Miyamoto asked suddenly, with a trace of doubt on his face, he asked. Are the missions starting to involve advanced missions? Like missions involving Akatsuki? Miyamoto's question made Hong slightly stunned, and then said directly. No, not yet. The 10th class has just completed the Chunin exam. In a short time, there should be no other tasks. In the past few years, Hong's strength has not fallen. Not only that, just like Miyamoto's prediction before, Hong's strength has broken through, although it has just entered the cage level. However, Hong is a cage-level illusionist, an unstoppable illusion, coupled with the extreme body technique taught by Miyamoto, her strength is definitely one of the best in Konoha village. Under such circumstances, high-level tasks may basically fall on the 10th class. After all, cage level is the top existence, and with the addition of Shikamaru who has an explosive IQ, even if it is an S-level task, the 10th class has already completed it. That's it. After hearing Hong's answer, Miyamoto nodded, and then looked serious. Red, in the next time, I guess Akatsuki's actions will start. If my guess is correct, there should be some extremely dangerous missions. I will give you a copy of the information I collected during the trip later on about some members of Akatsuki. After you meet them, you must pay attention. Also, if Tsunade assigns you a mission about the Temple of Fire, be sure to let me know. Hong Weiwei looked at Miyamoto with some surprise, then nodded seriously. Understood. I didn't ask Miyamoto why. Anyway, Miyamoto won't harm her, that's all. After the business talk was over, the two talked about love without saying a word, and during this time, Hinata, who was dizzy, woke up. At noon the next day, the small yard of Miyamoto's house. Uzumaki Naruto Dagiza knelt down in front of Miyamoto, while Haruno Sakura and 3 members of Class 10 followed. Miyamoto looked at Uzumaki Naruto with a weird expression, Haruno Sakura who was pleading, and the 10th squad on the other side. That's right, it should have been Kakashi's business, but now it has fallen to Shigemoto. The reason is simple, in the hands of Miyamoto, Rasengan has played countless new tricks. Big Ball Rasengan, Massive Rasengan, Wind-Style Rasengan, Wind-Style Spiral Shuriken. In addition to Rasengan which was originally supposed to be developed by Uzumaki Naruto, there are others. So he proposed to strengthen his own strength, hoping that Kakashi could teach his Uzumaki Naruto, and was recommended by Kakashi. In Kakashi's view, Uzumaki Naruto does not need to develop it himself at all, it is enough to inherit the technique of Rasengan in Miyamoto's hands. Miyamoto fell silent. The others didn't say much, but Hinata knelt quietly beside Miyamoto and didn't speak. Hinata knows that Miyamoto has her own ideas, and it is for this reason that she will not say anything more. After a long time, Miyamoto sighed and looked at Uzumaki Naruto. If you don't agree, Naruto, what are you going to do? Lifting his head, Uzumaki Naruto looked at Miyamoto with a firm look on his face. I won't give up. Even if Musashi doesn't agree, I will become stronger myself and bring Sasuke back. Hearing this, Miyamoto could feel Uzumaki Naruto's firmness, and at the same time, such an emotion of never giving up infected several people around him, and Ashura's chakra was almost fused into his body. Miyamoto's start was obtained from Uzumaki Naruto. Compared with Sharingan, Sage Body is more important to Miyamoto in the early stage. Looking at other people, unknowingly, there are already many bonds around Miyamoto. In a week, how much you can learn from me is up to you. Quote. Miyamoto glanced at Uzumaki Naruto. Tomorrow at 6 o'clock in the morning, training ground number 7, be there on time. Before that, looking up at Haruno Sakura and the others, Miyamoto said. Little Sakura, you guys, tonight, give Naruto a good update on what is called shape change and nature transformation. After Miyamoto agreed, Uzumaki Naruto and others left. Haruno Sakura and others took Uzumaki Naruto and left, probably to explain the shape change and nature transformation to Uzumaki Naruto. Chapter 65 Those Things That Guard Shinobi 6/10 Chapter 65. On the 7th training field, Miyamoto looked at the densely packed shadow clone of Uzumaki Naruto, not worried about other problems at all. There is nothing wrong with Miyamoto being a top player. Similarly, Miyamoto is also a very good instructor. Teach students in accordance with their aptitude. Uzumaki Naruto's talent is not reflected in comprehension, but in the ability to practice. Explain the principle to him, it is better to let him operate it directly, maybe there will be unexpected gains. After Miyamoto tested the chakra attribute for Uzumaki Naruto, and personally led Uzumaki Naruto experience what wind-style chakra is, this kid's learning speed is comparable to a genius. When Miyamoto took Uzumaki Naruto to train, Kakashi was discharged from the hospital, but he didn't come to take over Uzumaki Naruto's training. Instead, he led the new 8th class to perform tasks. After hearing the news, Miyamoto didn't care, and didn't care about other things, he was still training Uzumaki Naruto. A week later, training ground number 7. Haruno Sakura looked at the wind-style Rasengan in the hands of Uzumaki Naruto, full of surprises. Naruto, you made it. Uzumaki Naruto's face was also full of excitement, and he looked at the Rasengan in his hand with emotion. In a week, he mastered the wind-style chakra. On the 6th day, he just started the Rasengan's nature transformation. Although it seems that it is only a little bit of success, it is enough to make him happy. Miyamoto came to Uzumaki Naruto, spread his hands, and condensed a very stable wind-style Rasengan. Wind-style Rasengan, it's just the beginning, your chakra is a wind attribute, so your next development direction should be toward more advanced development. After a pause, Miyamoto looked at Uzumaki Naruto strangely. Your chakra is quite large, and if you have 9 tails chakra as a supplement, my suggestion is to increase the amount of chakra. But wind-style spiral shuriken has a drawback. While speaking, the wind-style Rasengan in Miyamoto's hand became huge within a few breaths, and at the same time, the surging power made the faces of Uzumaki Naruto and Haruno Sakura change involuntarily. Raising his hand, Miyamoto looked at Uzumaki Naruto. The power of wind-style spiral shuriken is too powerful, it starts from the cells, although for the caster, the feedback damage is not as great as the enemies, but it is not small either. If you don't solve this problem, you can only hit wind-style spiral shuriken 10 times in your lifetime, and then you're going to live without hands. After Miyamoto finished speaking, the wind-style spiral shuriken in his hand dissipated slowly, revealing the arm under the arm exuding aquamarine light. The reason I can use it is because my wood-style bloodline can resist such damage, so there is no retaliation. After hearing Miyamoto's words, Uzumaki Naruto and Haruno Sakura fell silent at the same time. Looking at the two, Miyamoto's body turned into a puff of smoke and disappeared. The one who taught Naruto was the main body at first, and then shadow clone. At night, the flowers are full and the moon is full. Miyamoto has gone to sleep on red. During Hinata's daytime today, someone from Hyuga's family came to look for her. Hinata's surname is Hyuga for the time being, not Miyamoto. Therefore, as the eldest daughter of Hinata's family, she still needs to attend important matters of Hinata's family. Miyamoto and Hong have been lingering for a long time, and they just fell asleep. Boom. A violent vibration woke up the sleeping Miyamoto, who frowned slightly. Hong also woke up, but because of the strenuous exercise just now, his body still has some hair on his forehead. Patting Hong on the shoulder, Miyamoto has stood up. Stay at home, and I'll be fine. While talking, Miyamoto casually put on a windbreaker and disappeared into the bedroom. Hong smiled slightly, put on her pajamas, and although she didn't go out, she still got up. Village Gate. Thorn. When Miyamoto used Lei Shun to arrive here, many ninjas from Konoha were already here, even Anko was here. Looking at the black soil that has destroyed the gate of the village, and the dead people walking out of it, Miyamoto frowned. This is your sister's Hokage version of the zombie coming out of the cage. The way of action is no different from that of zombies, except that these are all made by ninjutsu. Miyamoto just came here, Anko waited for Jonin, especially Jonin, and came to Miyamoto's side. Musashi. What now? Shaking his head, Miyamoto didn't care about these zombie-like corpses, and recalled this episode in his mind. *TT. Anko Schwanma. Just leave Chunin here, and the rest of the people, with the Hokage building as the center, search for traces of the enemy in the 4 directions of east, west, south, and north. Lei Meng Lei Ren. You should know the power of that. Hearing Miyamoto say Lei Meng Lei Ren, Anko's expression changed, and he recalled the trick that Miyamoto used when carrying out the S-class cross-border destruction mission before, which required 3 shadow clone to cooperate with lightning style. With just 1 blow, it will be solved directly. A small camp, that kind of terrifying power, if it is launched in Konoha. Thinking of this, Anko, who loves Konoha deeply, has a serious face. Action. Use the fastest speed to find out that there are enemies using lightning style, bet your lives, and show off. Although it is still a special Jonin, Anko's status is unquestionable. The brown snake among the 3 colors has unquestionable strength. What's more, this is an absolutely ruthless person. Although he won't attack his companions, Anko's 3-color fame battle was won with snake venom, so few people dare to disobey Anko, who is furious. And now this is a matter related to Konoha, no one dares to neglect. Almost instantly, all the Jonin present left. Glancing at the appearance of several people leaving, Miyamoto was not worried. Although Lei Mengali is powerful, it is quite simple to untie it. Just beat one of them. Glancing at the ninja who stayed here, Miyamoto left after giving a few orders. Compared to this place, Miyamoto felt that it would be better for him to go and see the pseudo 9-tails Jinchuriki on the other side. In a small forest in the back mountain of Konoha, when Miyamoto came here, the scene was almost the same as when Naruto broke out 5 tails. Looking at the two Jinchuriki dressed in fox clothes and bursting into the state of four tails, one true and the other false, Miyamoto did not directly stop it, but watched Uzumaki Naruto. In his body, his own chakra began to gradually push back the overflowing Nine Tails chakra. Chapter 66 Mission. Kill the undead duo 7/10. Chapter 66. Is it the cause of Ashura chakra? Seeing the four tails Nine Tails chakra being suppressed back into his body step by step, in Miyamoto's open white eyes, there was an ice blue light flashing indistinctly, and he saw the special one in Uzumaki Naruto's chakra place. It is worth mentioning that Miyamoto's white eyes are not as high as ordinary white eyes. When Miyamoto opened the white eyes, no meridians emerged. They were there at the beginning, and then gradually disappeared. Looking at Uzumaki Naruto, who had already settled the overall situation, and another pseudo Nine Tails Jinchuriki, Miyamoto shook his head and left here quietly. When I got home, I saw Hong sitting in the living room waiting for me, and my heart was moved. This is obviously worrying about myself. Regardless of strength, this is a normal feeling that the husband is going out and the wife is worried, so it is worth touching. 293 looked at Hong, and Miyamoto pondered for a moment, thinking that it was time to explain something to Hong. There was no good opportunity before, but now is a good time. Red, I'm back. Encircling Hong's waist from behind, Miyamoto leaned his head against Hong's body and said. In Hong's body, Miyamoto always has a special feeling. This is not only his wife and woman, but also gives him more or less maternal care. This special feeling always has a kind of forbidden stimulation, which constitutes Miyamoto's most unique affection for Red, even more special than Hinata. There's something I want to tell you. Sitting face to face with Hong, Miyamoto's face is full of seriousness, and at the same time there is some guilt. I'm sorry, Hong, it took me so long to tell you my secret. When Miyamoto said this, Hong's face became serious, and he didn't say anything more. Miyamoto has a secret, which Hong has known for a long time. After all, they are already so close, how could they not know? But, Miyamoto didn't say, nor did she intend to ask. Seeing that Hong was ready, Miyamoto did not hesitate, and made a seal. On the floor between the two of them, a green sapling exuding a gleaming green light grew up directly, and its branches and leaves were flourishing, as if shrunk. Countless times the towering trees. This is wood style. Rao Shihong was already prepared, but after seeing the young sapling in front of her, she was also stunned. Miyamoto's wood style is known to very few people, and there are orders from Tsunade, so it has not been spread. However, the order was issued 3 years ago. After all, Tsunade felt that Miyamoto hadn't grown up at that time. After returning, after knowing that Miyamoto had succeeded, this order naturally disappeared. After looking at the little tree for a few times, Hong looked at Ben again. This secret. Indeed, Hong suddenly understands why the current 5th Hokage Tsunade is so kind to Miyamoto. If you want to say who is the most trusted person in the Konoha shinobi, you will say Miyamoto. With strength and wood style, it proves to be a direct descendant of the Senju clan. Hearing Hong's words, Miyamoto removed his seal, the little tree submerged in the board again, and looked at Hong. Wood style doesn't know many people, but it's not too few. But the next secret, Hong, can only be known by our family. The whole family. The red face was slightly rosy, and they nodded solemnly. Miyamoto's eyes closed and opened, the original black eyes became blood red, and at the same time the Sengoyu appeared and slowly rotated, forming the appearance of Mangekyo Sharingan. This, Sharingan, Mangekyo Sharingan. Today's Hong, it is naturally impossible not to know what Mangekyo Sharingan is, it is the supreme pupil technique of the Uchiha clan. Looking at Miyamoto, Hong pondered for a while, then smiled slightly. So that's how. So my man is so powerful. Although she was startled and didn't understand, Hong didn't care. These things couldn't change the fact that Miyamoto was her man. Why worry about anything? The days of leisure passed quickly, and 10 pieces of news came a few days later. Yuri, the host of the Temple of Fire, Konoha elite Jonin Sarutobi Asuma, and the 9th squad led by Konoha elite Jonin Sarutobi Asuma were killed by 2 members of the Akatsuki organization one after another, and news came that the entire army was annihilated. When hearing this news, Miyamoto breathed a sigh of relief, because it also means that nothing will happen to Hong. Konoha began to be gradually covered with a layer of haze. The most important thing is that Tsunade, who just made a move, was held accountable by the consultant and the daimyo of the country of fire because of this matter. Asuma and Jilu, these 2 people used to be guardians of the 12 ninjas, and the daimyo was rescued by them desperately. Hokage's office, there was a loud noise. Miyamoto, who had just arrived at the door, heard the sound, and without thinking, Tsunade smashed the table again. Pushing open the door and walking in, Miyamoto saw Tsunade with an angry face, not paying attention to other things. Miyamoto looked at Tsunade. Musashi. S-rank mission. Seeing Miyamoto's appearance, Tsunade showed a murderous look on his face, and threw 2 photos to Ben. These 2 people, I want to see their bodies, understand? Glancing at the photo, Miyamoto's face revealed. The undead duo, Kakuzu and Hidan. Raising his hand to accept the photo, Miyamoto nodded with a flat face. Understood, give me 3 days, I will solve them. Tsunade looked at Miyamoto with a serious face. Need an assistant? It just so happens that Naruto has completed the new technique. Kakashi's class hasn't arranged any tasks yet. Hearing this, Miyamoto shook his head. No, just my Miyamoto class will do. Tsunade nodded, looking at Ben. Be careful in everything, and keep yourself safe if you can't do anything. Hearing Tsunade's words, Miyamoto nodded and left the office. The country of fire, start searching from the place where Asuma died in line of duty. Miyamoto and Hinata, according to the information they have received, are rapidly moving towards the direction inferred from the recent appearance of Kakuzu and Hidan. 3.0. What Miyamoto has to do is to intercept and kill the two of them before they leave the land of fire. Once the time is too long, it will be difficult to find them. Along the way, the speed of Miyamoto and Hinata is not too slow, relatively speaking, it is quite fast. Hinata's strength is not weak either. After Kakashi returned to the team, the reason why Miyamoto and Hinata did not join the 8th class again, is here. The strength of Miyamoto and Hinata far exceeds that of Aburame Shino and Inuzuka Tooth. The combination will be wasted the fighting power of Miyamoto and Hinata. And another reason Sai and Aburame Shino have formed a bond. Although it is weird, it is normal. All three belong to the mysterious ninja. A day later, Hinata's white eyes opened, and her face was instantly solemn. Miyamoto-kun, there are 2 strands of cage-level chakra ahead. Chapter 67. The Remnants of the Old Era, 8/10 Chapter 67. Kakuzu, a defected ninja from Taki Ninja Village, has survived from the era of the first generation through the secret technique Earth Resentment, a cage-level top master who has survived until now. Those who do not know his weaknesses are definitely a terrifying enemy. Even knowing the weakness, it is also difficult to solve. Unless he has absolute strength, otherwise, facing Kakuzu, he really doesn't know how he died. None of the existences that survived from that era is easy to provoke. Hidan, Tang Ninja Village in the country of Tang, is a top master who escaped after massacring a village, relying on the characteristics of the evil occult technique, death by blood, plus immortality. Simply killing him would not kill him at all. These two people are like bugs. If they don't know their abilities, their fate will not be any better than that of Ji Lu and Asuma. The two walked on the road without speaking, and quietly headed towards the target direction. Whizzing. The 2 kunai were shot from behind the two of them. The speed was neither slow nor fast, and it did not hide the breath, it was quite fast. Swish. The two turned sideways instantly, and the 2 kunai sank into the ground in front of them. Looking behind, Kakuzu's eyes showed doubts, and Hidan's face was also cold. Swish. Hinata was wearing a 17th Shunin vest. Miyamoto stood beside Hinata quietly, and the two appeared on a branch at the same time. With eyes wide open, Hinata looked at Hidan and Kakuzu. Found you, Akatsuki, because Mr. Asuma, Shizi and the others can invite you. To die? The wind blew Hinata's long hair, and for the first time, her face without a smile was full of killing intent. For the first time, Miyamoto saw Hinata like this for the first time. Because of Uchiha Sasuke's defection, Xiaoqiang's frequent contact and closer relationship, including Asuma's 9th class, and the Shizi in Hinata's mouth, is a girl who has a good relationship with Hinata. Miyamoto has met a medical ninja who gets along well with Hinata. Miyamoto didn't speak, just looked at Kakuzu and Hidan like this. These two people, as long as they know their weaknesses, the victory is guaranteed. On the way here, Miyamoto had told Hinata about Hidan's weakness. Miyamoto-kun. That Hidan, leave it to me. With a serious face, Hinata looked at Miyamoto with a pleading look in his eyes. Nodding his head, Miyamoto glanced at Hidan, then fixed his eyes on Kakuzu. Just be careful, don't get hurt by him. On the way here, I have already told Hinata about Hidan's weakness. Hinata relies on physical skills to achieve cage-level combat effectiveness. In terms of physical skills, Hidan should not be enough. Yes. With a nod in response, Hinata's eyes locked on Hidan, ignoring Kakuzu next to Hidan. Swish. In a flash, Hinata's figure rushed towards Hidan in an instant. Kakuzu. This woman is handed over to me, and I will give her 10 grand feasts of death. Hidan still knew the persimmon was soft, but Hinata didn't know who it was, although with a pair of blank eyes, it was obviously from the Hyuga family, but compared to this. Miyamoto, the leader of the 3 colors, was even more difficult to deal with. Even Uchiha Itachi suffered in his hands. Hidan decisively chose Hinata. Haha. Laughing wildly, holding a scythe in his hand, Hidan rushed out instantly and met Hinata. A girl like you, dedicated to the evil god, is definitely the best choice. The two approached instantly, and Hinata's wide-eyed insight was far superior to Sharingan's. Although he didn't have the ability to predict, Hinata's fighting instinct could make up for it. Jung. Hidan swung his sickle to sweep his head, and Hinata bowed slightly to avoid it. Hidan, who didn't put Hinata in his eyes at all, turned the sickle in his hand, grasped it with both hands, and was about to chop towards Hinata. Swish. The sound of the body flicker technique launching. Hinata's figure approached instantly when Hidan was just holding the sickle with both hands, with killing intent on his face. Gentle fist method 8 trigrams 64 palms. 2 palms. 4 palms. 8 palms. 64 palms. Almost between two breaths, all 64 palms hit Hidan's body, almost flying out. Just as he flew upside down, Hinata's eyes flashed seriousness. He followed up and grabbed Hidan's ankle. Using the soft strength learned from Miyamoto, he stopped Hidan's castration and raised his hand to hit him. Looking at Hidan, who has not recovered the hard value in the air. 8 trigrams hyphenation point empty palm. The powerful palm force urged by Chakra acted on Hidan's body without any leaks, directly blasting him out, smashing several small trees one after another, and embedded in a stone. Huh! Hitting 64 palms and empty palms in one breath, Hinata let out a breath, turned his back to Kakuzu, and stared at Hidan, who had stood up again, with serious eyes. Under the supercilious look, the chakra meridians in Hidan's body were not damaged at all. The attack I had just now, even if it hit a cage level, would definitely cause heavy damage. Immortal. Looking at Hidan, Hinata didn't say much. After making a seal with both hands, chakra scalpel was condensed on both palms. This is one of the fruits of 3 years of practice. One of the ways to defeat Hidan is to cut him into several pieces and separate them. When he saw the chakra scalpel in Hinata's hand, Kakuzu's eyes froze, and he wanted to sneak attack Hinata, but a sharp gaze stared at him, so that Kakuzu didn't dare to act rashly. Turning to look at Miyamoto, who was not moving on the tree, Kakuzu said, "Hidan, be careful, your abilities have been discovered. Don't worry about Hidan getting killed, just stitch his body back together when the time comes." What Kakuzu is more worried about is Miyamoto, who has no action on the tree 923. On Miyamoto's body, he sensed a strong smell of danger, and at the same time, Kakuzu also smelled the smell of money. Watching Miyamoto with vigilant and greedy eyes, Kakuzu was weighing the pros and cons, whether to fight or find a chance to escape with Hidan. Escaping from Miyamoto's hand, Kakuzu is still confident. As for Hinata, Kakuzu is not worried. The ninja of the Hyuga family does not know how to use ninjutsu, but he is a master of ninjutsu. Kakuzu, the S-level rebel of Takinobu village, tried to assassinate the ally Konoha first Hokage. After being arrested, he stole the forbidden technique of Takinobu village and killed the senior management of Takinobu village. Noticing Kakuzu's eyes, Miyamoto saw that Hinata had already fought Hidan again on the other side, and after confirming that there was no problem, he turned to look at him. "Now I'm a member of the Akatsuki organization. I came to the Kingdom of Fire and attacked the Temple of Fire. There is only one purpose. 9 tails." Hearing Miyamoto's words, Kakuzu was shocked in his heart, but remained calm on the surface. "It seems that Konoha's intelligence work is not bad, such a long time. You all know about it." It is indeed a long time ago. Holding hands down, Miyamoto looked at Kakuzu. "The remnants of the old era. New ninja world, there is no place for you. Let's fight." Kakuzu, Chapter 68. Do you know explosion 9/10? Chapter 68. With chakra floating on his body, Miyamoto fixed his eyes and locked Kakuzu. Lightning style lightning instant. Thorn. A flash of thunder flashed, and Miyamoto's figure instantly came to Kakuzu's front, jumped high, raised his legs and fell down instantly. Heaven guards the feet. The strange force tricks copied from Tsunade's body are largely to enhance the power of Miyamoto's physical skills. Faced with Miyamoto's attack, Kakuzu's expression changed and he jumped away. Boom! The ground shattered, and large clods flew up. When the attack landed, Miyamoto turned his gaze to Kakuzu. The 4 eyes met, killing intent surged. Miyamoto's face was expressionless, lightning flashed around his body, and chakra was condensed in his hand. Sakura flower punch. Boom! This punch was thrown out with great force, and it hit Kakuzu really. After a dull sound, a black shadow flew upside down and plowed a ditch on the ground before standing still. Miyamoto frowned and looked at Kakuzu. On a pair of pitch-black arms, one after another pitch-black cracks shattered and fell like clods of soil. This is Kakuzu's earth attribute ninjutsu, earth-style earth spear, which can harden arms. Combining the tentacles of earth resentment to attack, the power is amazing. It's dangerous. I didn't expect that you would have strange strength. Kakuzu's face showed a solemn color, looked at Miyamoto, and at the same time tore off the robe of Akatsuki organization on his body, and looked at Miyamoto with a serious face. "Your heart is quite good, I will accept it." As the words fell, dense black tentacles stretched out from Kakuzu's body. He raised his eyes to look at Miyamoto, flicked his hands, and under the control of the tentacles, he quickly attacked and killed Miyamoto. Faced with such an attack, Miyamoto's hands were sealed instantly. Earth-style earth wall, earth-style earth dragon bullet. 2 ninjutsu in a row, one in front and one behind. Boom! After the earth flow wall in front was smashed, Kakuzu's hand just broke through and met Miyamoto's earth dragon bomb. After crushing the earth dragon bullet, Kakuzu retracted his hand with a solemn expression on his face. This speed of seal formation reminded Kakuzu of a partner who didn't quite get along with him. Uchiha Itachi. Where are people? Asterisk. Taking a closer look, Miyamoto's figure was gone. Kakuzu's complexion changed, and he felt something strange in the ground, so he jumped up directly, and at the same time, he threw a kunai with his backhand. Earth-style decapitation technique. Miyamoto's upper body emerged from the ground, looking at kunai thrown by Kakuzu who jumped away, his expression changed. Bang! Miyamoto's figure turned into a puff of smoke. When seeing this cloud of smoke, Kakuzu frowned, shadow clone. At the same time, a black shadow passed over his head. Kakuzu turned his head and looked at the figure that Miyamoto killed. Lightning-style Reikiri. In an instant, Miyamoto's figure came in front of Kakuzu, and Reikiri on the right hand pierced Kakuzu's heart from the front. It's over, Kakuzu. Miyamoto's words, just finished speaking, pierced Kakuzu's hand at the heart, and black tentacles entangled Miyamoto one by one. Unable to free his hand, Miyamoto's expression changed. What's going on here? Kakuzu sneered, watching Miyamoto, with terrifying black tentacles all over his body, gradually surrounded Miyamoto. As you said, brat, it's over, I'll let you see that Earth's resentment is so severe. As the price, I'll accept your heart. Miyamoto, who was wrapped up, suddenly showed a sneer on his face, looked up at Kakuzu, and then said softly. Hey, do you know the clone explosion? Boom. Amidst the terrifying explosion, Kakuzu's figure was blown up from the air and fell to the ground, creating a big crater. Raising his head with difficulty, Kakuzu looked at the place where Miyamoto came out just now. Miyamoto's figure folded his hands and looked at him playfully. What's the matter? Is this not enough? I know you. If you can save your life in first Hokage's wood style, you should be pretty strong, right? There are still 3 hearts. Rise up and continue to fight. Under the action of the black tentacles, Kakuzu stood up. Before his heart was killed, any injuries caused by the attack could be ignored for him. After a seal was formed, 4 black monsters wearing masks walked out of Kakuzu's body. 2 of them were shattered as soon as they came out, without any movement. Looking at the 2 chubby and tall and wide black monsters who were still standing, Miyamoto smiled even more. Lightning style, fire style, and another heart in your body, it's nice. After being shattered with 2 hearts, Kakuzu's face was quite ugly. Without any hesitation, he directly fused the 2 black monsters into his body with his own shot. He looked up at Miyamoto. Among them, the mask representing fire style suddenly opened its mouth wide, and Kakuzu himself also nodded his hands. Fire style head hard, wind style harm, boom. The terrifying flame, with the blessing of wind style, was amazingly powerful, and it came to kill Miyamoto, and burned all the places it passed. Shaking his head, there was a trace of disdain in Miyamoto's eyes. Fire style. My strength is above you. With both hands in mudra, the chakra on his body was condensed crazily, and he looked up at the head of the bombardment. Miyamoto said. Fire style extinguish fire. Boom. The powerful ninjutsu that requires 20 water style ninjas to resist at the same time is definitely not a joke. It is a direct collision between extinguishing fire and buying hard. After one move, the land between Miyamoto and Kakuzu has been turned over 3 feet and turned into a piece of scorched earth. Panting slightly, Kakuzu had cold sweat on his forehead, looked at Miyamoto, thinking in his heart. This guy's chakra volume is almost the same as Kisami's guy, and his ninjutsu is fast and powerful. Most importantly, this guy, there's a set of tactics specifically for me. Attributes have never been restrained so severely. The most basic use of Kakuzu battles is attribute restraint. The attribute restraint in the Hokage world is quite serious. Deidara in the original book was restrained too much, and then his brain exploded. Seeing Kakuzu like this, Miyamoto shook his head. Since you don't attack, then replace me. After the words fell, Miyamoto's figure rushed out in an instant, and the speed was quite fast. Facing Miyamoto's attack, Kakuzu's face changed slightly, and the lightning-style monster's mouth opened. Lightning-style false dark eternal. Boom. The terrifying gun condensed by lightning-style chakra blasted towards Miyamoto in an instant. In the original book, Kakashi's hands and Reikiri were needed to counteract the lightning-style ninjutsu, which is indeed powerful. The dazzling thunder light made Miyamoto's eyes condense. Sharingan. Wind-style Big Ball Rasengan. Chapter 69 Mission complete, 10 out of 10. Chapter 69. Big Ball Rasengan joins Wind-style Chakra. The power obtained is greater than Wind-style Rasengan, and at the same time less than Wind-style Spiral Shuriken, which is what Miyamoto uses at the moment. Wind-style Big Ball Rasengan. Kakuzu's pseudo-dark power is indeed powerful, and his attack power is even higher than that of one-handed Reikiri. However, under the restraint of attributes, Miyamoto's wind-style Big Ball Rasengan drives straight in like a broken bamboo. Faced with Miyamoto's attack, Kakuzu's face changed slightly, and he jumped up to avoid Miyamoto's attack. The black tentacles on his body condensed into spears and pierced towards Miyamoto. Facing the attack of the black tentacles, Miyamoto's face remained unchanged, and he held the handle of the tachi behind him with one hand. Facing the tentacles that were killing him, 3 Tomo Sharingan's motion capture ability was quite strong, and he dodged the attacks of the tentacles in an instant. Jung. Lightning-style Thousand Bird Blade. Miyamoto's eyes were fixed, and the moment he avoided the attack, he drew his sword and cut it off directly. Grabbing some tentacles with one hand and pulling them hard, Kakuzu's body in midair fell towards Miyamoto involuntarily. Miyamoto, who possesses strange power, with such a push, Kakuzu's speed towards Miyamoto can't be too fast. Seeing himself quickly approaching Miyamoto, Kakuzu's face was happy, and his hands formed seals. Opportunity. Mystery 963 Heart Capture. Even more terrifying black tentacles erupted from Kakuzu's body, attacking Miyamoto in all directions, leaving no retreat for Miyamoto at all. Kakuzu fixed his eyes on Miyamoto, not daring to relax. Although Miyamoto made few shots and used some conventional methods, Kakuzu felt a fatal threat from Miyamoto. The three-tomo Sharingan in his eyes slowly rotated. Miyamoto slowly raised his head, and his gaze directly met Kakuzu's. Magic Yang-Hang Technique. Boom. The moment Kakuzu saw Miyamoto's eyes clearly, Kakuzu felt as if his spirit had been hit hard, and his whole body was stiff. At this moment, he could not move even a single movement, his face was gloomy, and different impacts hit him. Chakra. Sharingan. You and Uchiha Itachi are clan. Hearing Kakuzu's words, Miyamoto sneered, did not answer, and made a mudra with his right hand holding the sword. Lightning-style Chidori sharp gun. Sting. Puff. The lightning blade extending from the Taidao pierced Kakuzu's heart for the second time, and the power of lightning style burst out, directly destroying the heart in Kakuzu's body at this moment. Swish swish swish. Destroying a heart, Miyamoto's chakra helped Kakuzu recover from the illusion, and directly manipulated the black tentacles of earth resentment to absorb the lightning style mask into the body, replacing the mask that Miyamoto had just destroyed. Dropped heart, hand seal. Lightning style false darkness. Lei Dong's big gun directly blasted at Miyamoto, and at the same time, the black tentacles persevered towards Miyamoto, intending to capture Miyamoto's heart. Boom. The smoke and dust captivated Kakuzu's eyes. After landing, Kakuzu didn't dare to stay in it. He stepped out of the smoke and dust for a moment, and the other mask on his body opened his mouth directly. Fire style head hard. The assiduous flame directly covered the position where the smoke and dust were. Kakuzu was not sure if this move would be useful, so he was quite cautious, and at the same time he had already begun to think about the way out. Where did you go? Feeling that he didn't hit Miyamoto's angle, he was extremely vigilant, and a sense of crisis gathered around Kakuzu's body. Crash. There was a sound under Kakuzu's feet, and a vine broke through the ground directly, entangled his feet with lightning speed. Bang 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 bang. The moment Kakuzu was imprisoned, 4 voices sounded, and 4 Miyamoto shadow clones suddenly appeared around, plus the front Miyamoto. 5 people completed the seal at the same time. 5 escapes Dalian ball technique. Boom. The terrifying explosion force directly centered on Kakuzu's location, forming a 20 to 30 meter deep pit, and Kakuzu, who was dying, had both masks on his body broken. Coming to the side of the pothole, Miyamoto looked at the motionless Kakuzu, and came in front of him, looking at Kakuzu who was still breathing his last breath. This time, it's really over. At the last moment, Kakuzu raised his eyes to look at Miyamoto, and it was like a flash. Bog, was that just? Wood style. Hearing Kakuzu's words, Miyamoto didn't answer, just watched quietly like this. After Kakuzu's breath completely disappeared, Miyamoto spread out a scroll and sealed the corpse into it. Thorn. Thunder instantly mobilized, heading towards the direction of Hinata's chakra in the perception. When he found Hinata, Hidan had already finished playing. Miyamoto didn't know whether Kakuzu's body was useful, so he just took it back. But Hidan forgets. Directly using ninjutsu, Hidan's body was divided into several parts, and after 200 or 300 meters in different directions, Miyamoto and Hinata embarked on the journey back to Konoha. After returning to Konoha and handing in the task, Miyamoto accompanied Hinata to visit the memorial monument to pay homage to Hinata's friend Shizi, and then went home. On the way home, feeling Hinata's mood improved, a smile appeared on Miyamoto's face. That's fine. Reaching out to hold Hinata's little hand, Miyamoto spoke. For this mission, even if Tsunade didn't have that mission, Miyamoto would still do it, not because of anything else, but because of Hinata. Miyamoto-kun, go home. Hinata took Miyamoto's hand and said something, her face was red. Today I rub Miyamoto-kun's back. Hearing this, Miyamoto gave a bad smile, hugged Hinata's waist, and leaned into Hinata's ear. It's not enough to just rub your back. Among Hidan and Kakuzu, Miyamoto and Hinata have never been sent out for missions. The Kakashi class, on the other hand, continues some tasks, such as the task of pursuing Sasuke, and the most important thing is to find the former member of the Akatsuki organization, Orochimaru. Of course, Miyamoto will not participate in such a boring thing. After all, for Miyamoto, Uchiha Sasuke really doesn't like him. If it weren't for Uzumaki Naruto, it would be almost impossible for Sasuke to clear his name. Think about how many people Sasuke has offended. As far as Miyamoto is concerned, among the Uchiha clan, Miyamoto only has good feelings for Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Madara. Peaceful days always pass quickly. During this period of time, Chongbin gradually got what he wanted. A piece of armor, similar to the armor of Uchiha Madara in memory, but it is not red, but black, armor made of chakra ore, the defense is absolutely leveraged. These are all secondary, the most important thing is being handsome. Especially under the design of Miyamoto, this armor has added some mysterious patterns of heavenly style, which looks quite good looking. Of course, Miyamoto couldn't do the fine work, and it was all done with the help of Hinata and Hong. This is the first work completed by the three of Miyamoto, and Miyamoto cherishes it very much. After finishing the armor, Miyamoto thought about the recent events, and that's it. Chapter 70 The Three Tails Mission 1/5. Chapter 70. It has been a month since Kakuzu and Hidan were killed. At noon, Miyamoto was drinking tea at home. Under the care of two gentle wives, Hong and Hinata, Miyamoto's life became more and more refined. Swish. Unexpectedly, in Miyamoto's small courtyard, Azuki Yuyinban, kneeling in front of Miyamoto wearing a mask. Miyamoto-sama, Hokage is naturally interested in you. After being notified by Yuga Uzuki, Miyamoto tidied up and put on the mission equipment. Miyamoto came to the Hokage office. As soon as he entered the door, Miyamoto saw the red team with the 10th squad waiting here, and even Shizune had changed into a Jonin vest. Seeing this state, Miyamoto knew what was going on. As soon as Miyamoto appeared, other people's eyes immediately fell on Miyamoto. Seeing Miyamoto, Tsunade showed a smile on his face. Is it finally here? There is no time for you to rest. While speaking, Tsunade raised his hand and threw a piece of information. Miyamoto opened it up and took a look. Sure enough, it was the same as what he had imagined. Three Tails. Master Hokage, what are you going to do? Are you making Jinchuriki again? Frowning, Miyamoto said something, frowning slightly. Miyamoto's words made everyone present turn their eyes to Tsunade. Jinchuriki, everyone present, even Nara Shikamaru, knew what it was, to put it bluntly. Weapons of war. Among their companions, Uzumaki Naruto is such an existence. If not for some special reasons, Uzumaki Naruto would most likely be imprisoned. War weapons originally existed as the last resort in war, so it was naturally impossible for him to do the task. No. Looking at Miyamoto, Tsunade shook his head. Three Tails is fine. It's good to be able to seal it. It doesn't matter if you can't. According to Kakashi's news, the task this time is to prevent Orochimaru from getting Three Tails. Nodding, Miyamoto didn't speak anymore. Just looked at it like this, and didn't say much. In the following time, Tsunade gave orders to the 10th squad and Shizune Miyamoto's group. Musashi, you stay, and the others step back first. After giving the order, Tsunade looked at Miyamoto and spoke. After everyone went out, Tsunade pulled out another scroll from under the desk. In this mission, it is very likely that you will fight against Orochimaru's subordinates. Although I don't need to worry about your strength, I hope to protect the safety of others as much as possible. The tail beast is very powerful, so be careful. Opening the scroll and looking at it, Miyamoto's eyes flickered slightly, and he put it away. I understand, please rest assured. On the scroll, Miyamoto has another mission. If we can confirm the location of Orochimaru and confirm the situation of Orochimaru, we need to see if Orochimaru has been reincarnated in the body of Sasuke Gakuchiya. If Orochimaru is successfully reincarnated into Uchiha Sasuke, it means that the second Konoha collapse plan will come soon. What worries Tsunade is this. The location of Konoha village entrance. Nara Shikamaru, the dog's head strategist of this mission, is arranging this mission. According to intelligence, it's not just us, but Otonin village who are eyeing Three Tails. Tanokuni is considered the base camp of Yanin village. If the legendary Sannin Orochimaru is here, the difficulty of the task will rise sharply. The strength on our side, aside from the SEAL class, Shizune Sr., Ino, Small Sakura, Hinata 4 people, and Musashi is a hidden security force. Even if there are still 2 masters, Mr. Hong and Mr. Kakashi. But that is a tailed beast. You must not be careful, and when the 4 of them seal it, you need to consider the strength of the guard. Everyone, please be mentally prepared. For this mission, at best, everyone will be safe, and at worst, someone will die. Snapped. Miyamoto put his hand on Nara Shikamaru's shoulder, with a smile on his face. Believe in your companions, everyone is not as weak as you think. Dazed for a moment, Nara Shikamaru looked at the young players of the same period. Each of them had mature firmness on their faces, and could not help but smile slightly. I see. The investigation will be left to you, Hinata. A smile appeared on Hinata's face. She opened her eyes and nodded. Give it to me. If Miyamoto is on the way, he can reach Tano country in half a day. Seeking flowers 0. However, in the case of following the large army, the speed was a little slower. Nearly 1 day later, Miyamoto and others set off at noon, arrived at Tanokuni in the early morning of the next day, and met Kakashi's team successfully. The better thing is that this time it is not only the 3 members of Kakashi's class who came to investigate Orochimaru's traces, but also the 8th class of freshmen. It was the first time Miyamoto met Sai. The appearance has been changed, it is different from the one in memory, but there is one thing that is similar. This small waist is really invincible. Ignoring the fact that Sai is a man, just looking at this waist, it is worse than a girl's. It's a lot to be perfect. Miyamoto didn't want to be involved in things like making a plan, and Miyamoto was the strongest, so naturally, the task of vigil was handed over to Miyamoto. 0. It is worth mentioning that during the day, Kakashi and the others had already fought against Gurren Yugimaru and the others in their memory. At this moment, Red, Kakashi Shikamaru and the others began to formulate a new battle plan based on the latest information. Miyamoto-kun. Sitting on the roof of a wooden house made of wood style, Miyamoto admired the full moon today, and suddenly Hinata's gentle voice came out of his ear, holding a water glass in his hand, and came to Miyamoto's side. Here, drink some water. After Miyamoto took the water bottle, Hinata knelt beside Miyamoto and offered her knee pillow, which is something she often does when traveling. Hinata knows a little habit of Miyamoto, that is, he likes to look at the full moon when it is full. Gradually, Hinata also developed such a small habit, which is quite good. Hinata. Putting down the water glass, Miyamoto looked at Hinata, who was rubbing his head gently, and suddenly said, "Have you thought about our honeymoon after we get married?" Hinata blushed upon hearing Miyamoto's words. I listen to Miyamoto-kun for everything. Miyamoto and Hinata have talked about this many times. Although Hinata won't faint or anything, she still blushes cutely. Miyamoto was not surprised to hear Hinata's answer. Hinata, you are really cute. Chapter 71 on a man 2/5. Chapter 71 When the sun breaks, a group of people move quickly. The sealing team is led by Shizune, who intends to use the perception enchantment to sense the existence of three tails, then switch the detection enchantment to a sealing enchantment, and then seal three tails. Such a large lake, the amount of work is not small. Headed by Kakashi, with Aburame Shino, Uzumaki Naruto and Sai, to deal with Gurren. Headed by Hong, plus Inuzuka Ya, 2 people, to attack the opponent, and the remaining 2, Nara Shikamaru and Akamichi Choji, are to protect the SEAL team. As for Miyamoto's mission, it is simpler, be wary of Orochimaru's henchmen. Looking at the people who had already moved, Miyamoto made a seal with one hand and looked at the people. Compared with Gurren and others, Miyamoto cared more about the existence of another boss level. Uchiha. Obito. How many people can a man choose for his beloved woman? Uchiha Obito. One world. Uchiha Obito, with a Uzumaki mask on his face, is the incarnation of a fae. At this stage, he is in the stage of pretending to be crazy, so it is more appropriate to call him a fae at this moment. Lying obscenely on the ground, the single eye under the mask is staring at the SEAL team in the center of the lake. Uchiha Obito's face under the mask reveals a sarcasm. The three tails are so easy to seal. A group of Chunin led by a Jonin wanted to seal a tailed beast. Uchiha Obito didn't know whether to call Konoha innocent or stupid. Behind Obito, Miyamoto's figure came out of the ground quietly, and at the same time, he saw Uchiha Obito lying on the ground obscenely, took out a kunai, and threw it towards the king's head. Ding! Just like in memory, kunai went straight through Obito's head and stuck in front of him. It seemed to be frightened, and after a second or two, Uchiha Obito suddenly got up. Ah, who? Turning around, seeing Miyamoto looking at him with a blank face, Uchiha Obito's face under the mask instantly became serious, and at the same time, Doobie grabbed his mask with both hands, because of the 4 voices. Ah, senpai, help me, that invincible Miyamoto Musashi, appeared. Exaggeratedly running back and forth on the protruding stones, yelling while running, and finally even knelt down on the edge of the cliff. Do I have nowhere to escape? Obviously I just joined Akatsuki. Seeing Uchiha Obito, who was displaying his actor-level acting skills, Miyamoto did not attack. It is not impossible to kill Uchiha Obito and Miyamoto, but it is quite troublesome to kill Uchiha Obito. If Uchiha Obito is Kakashi's left eye Kamui, it is quite easy to kill. The point is Uchiha Obito, the point he is not. Hollow's ability is indeed a bit unsolvable. Miyamoto is confident to attack Uchiha Obito continuously for 5 minutes without interval, but that is quite troublesome, so Miyamoto does not intend to really fight Uchiha Obito here. Ah, aren't you going to attack me? After arguing for a while, seeing Miyamoto just looking at it like this, without making a move, Uchiha Obito was more or less embarrassed and puzzled, looked up at Miyamoto, and scratched his head. I'm a member of Konoha's rival. Hearing Uchiha Obito's words, Miyamoto shrugged and raised his hand. Then attack and try. The two-handed mudra, above Miyamoto's right hand, gathers the lightning-style chakra. Lightning-style Reikiri. Watching Miyamoto's actions, Uchiha Obito showed a terrified expression on the surface, bragging about how powerful Reikiri is, as if he was bound to die here today. Boom. The ground was dragged out of a ravine by the lightning-style chakra, and Miyamoto's figure came in front of Uchiha Obito in an instant, and Reikiri with his right hand stabbed directly towards Uchiha Obito's heart. But in an instant, Miyamoto's figure penetrated Uchiha Obito's body in an instant, and the two of them raised their heads and looked into each other's eyes at the same time. Miyamoto grinned, and his left hand has completed the seal with one hand. Illusion Narakumi technique. Looking at each other, the scenery in front of Uchiha Obito changed, and the scene became a scene that he will never forget. After being stunned for a moment, he had already trained his mind to be as firm as a rock. Illusion solution. After unlocking the illusion, Uchiha Obito turned around and looked at Miyamoto on the edge of the cliff. Ah, lie. I didn't die, what's going on? But, now is my chance. Glancing at the calm Miyamoto, Uchiha Obito didn't want to fight with Miyamoto. The eyes under the mask took a deep look at Miyamoto. Uchiha Obito suddenly formed a wood-style imprint. Watch Miyamoto. It's time for me to fight back. Mystery desperate run technique. It slipped away in an instant, and didn't stay. He didn't expect Miyamoto to be here, but just took a look at the place where the sealing team is. The seal will fail in a short time. Three Tails will not be sealed by Konoha, so there is no problem. It's a tailed beast after all. Looking at Uchiha Obito who was running away, Miyamoto showed a meaningful smile on his face, then retracted his eyes and turned to look at the lake. A huge chakra started to go berserk, which means that the mission of the sealing class has failed. Hinata's small face was a little pale, looking at the huge Three Tails in front of her. The other three people didn't know where they were washed away, and the task of sealing the Three Tails had failed. And at this moment, not far from Hinata, his eyes turned to the other side, his white eyes opened instantly, and chakra condensed on his hands. 8 trigrams hyphenation point empty palm. The powerful palm force directly pushed away the waves, and moved towards Honglian and Lynchie who had just assassinated their seal team, causing the seal to fail. Although there was no problem with Nara Shikamaru's battle plan, what they didn't expect was that the bullhead under Gurren's hand would voluntarily sacrifice. Hinata, whose fighting power is far stronger than others, although maintaining the seal consumes most of her chakra, she still has the strength to fight. Hinata slapped it with a palm, and Gurren used the little chakra left to set up a 3.4 crystal-style shield in front of him to block the blow. Glancing at the rushing Hinata, Gurren sneered. The task is completed, there is no need to get entangled. Retreat. But Gurren wanted to leave. Roar. Three Tails' angry voice came, accompanied by 2 chakra shells, which bombarded Gurren and Hinata respectively. This chakra made Hinata's face change slightly, he gave up chasing Gurren, and embraced Yuan with both hands. Gentle fist law changed Tai Chi revolving heaven. Under the urging of chakra, a strange soft force rotates, instantly forming a Tai Chi yin-yang fish, wrapping Hinata in all directions. Boom. Next up, chakra shells from Three Tails Chapter 72 Marriage Reminder? 3/5. Chapter 72. Boom. There was an explosion, accompanied by the impact of the big waves. Hinata's body was directly thrown out, although he was not injured, but to block the blow, there was not much chakra left in Hinata's body. After taking a look at Three Tails, he did not hesitate, evacuate directly towards the shore. At the same time, the irritable Three Tails, after glancing at Hinata's direction, turned and sank directly into the water, leaving here. The seal failed. All the people gathered together. The injured people had already undergone simple treatment. Miyamoto looked at the tired Hinata, his eyes flashed distressed, looked at the people and said. This time the mission is over, I need to make some repairs and prepare to return to Konoha. Miyamoto made a decision, which made several people present look puzzled, especially Red. When she and Miyamoto set out the mission, she never heard Miyamoto say that she gave up. Before she was sure that the mission failed, Miyamoto never gave up. Why this time? Facing everyone's doubts, 17 Miyamoto's face showed seriousness. Just now, I met a member of Akatsuki. Although he didn't fight head-to-head, he is no worse than anyone I met before, or even higher than them. That guy will be a space-time ninjutsu. Speaking of this, everyone's faces became quite solemn. They did not expect that someone from the Akatsuki organization would appear, which could explain why Miyamoto didn't make a move. After glancing at everyone, Naomoto continued. After the first seal, the Three Tails became more vigilant and it was not so easy to find. I want to seal Three Tails, and I must also pay attention to the fact that Xiao's organization is too difficult. At the same time, I took a look at the few Xiaoqiang who were still in the growth stage, focusing on Uzumaki Naruto. Then, for the safety of Naruto, this mission is terminated. After Miyamoto explained a few words, he walked to the shore and looked into the middle of the lake. Uzumaki Naruto's face tightened, he stood up, and was about to walk towards Miyamoto. He has a bond with Yukimaru who can control Three Tails, and he can't let him go. Snapped. As soon as he stood up, Nara Shikamaru grabbed Naruto with a serious face. Naruto. Don't say it. Hearing Nara Shikamaru's words, Uzumaki Naruto showed anxiety on his face. But, Yukimaru. Haruno Sakura came over and looked at Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto, you are more important than Yukimaru, do you understand? Haruno Sakura's words were very useful. Uzumaki Naruto lowered his head and didn't speak, but his clenched fists expressed his dissatisfaction. Yukimaru, you'll be fine. Miyamoto spoke suddenly and looked at Uzumaki Naruto. When people get along with each other, there will be bonds. There is already a bond between Gurren and Yukimaru. That's all. After Miyamoto finished speaking, he didn't open his mouth. After a group of people rested, they returned to sleepy. This time the mission failed. This is the first time since Miyamoto carried out the mission. After the Three Tails incident, Miyamoto and Hinata were on standby for a week. Today, Miyamoto is dressing herself up in front of the mirror, with a trace of helplessness on her face. Is that all right? Miyamoto looked at Hong with a smile on his face. Isn't it just to meet a parent? Can Hyuga Hiyashi not marry Hinata to me? Hearing Miyamoto's words, Hong, who was arranging Miyamoto's clothes, rolled her eyes. That can't be done. You didn't go on a mission tonight, but you went as a son-in-law. It's too embarrassing. The head of the family must look like the head of the family. With a serious face, Hong said while showing Miyamoto what was wrong. Satisfied soon, Miyamoto is a handsome guy in the first place, with a little dressing up, he looks good. Satisfied, Hong sent Miyamoto to the entrance. Honey, be careful on the road. Turning around to look at Hong, Miyamoto had a smile on his face, and reached out to take Hong's waist. Stupid Red, you and Hinata are the same with me. Do you understand? Listening to Miyamoto's words, some tears flickered in the red eyes, and she held Miyamoto's hand tightly. Said nothing. What Hong wants is actually that simple. After leaving the house, Miyamoto headed towards the place where Hyuga Hiyashi set up a family banquet this time. This time I didn't go to the Hyuga tribe's land, but to eat outside, which is equivalent to the place where the state guest banquet was held in the previous life. Along the way, Miyamoto attracted countless eyes, and many young ladies cast their eyes. Along the way, I also met 3 people from the 10th class. Watching Miyamoto leave, Yamanaka Ino has some nympho on his face. Miyamoto-kun, you are really handsome. Hearing Ino's words, Nara Shikamaru rolled her eyes. A man like him is rare. He obviously has the strength to get some things easily, but the result is calm. He doesn't care about anything, he just wants to live a romantic life with his wife. In all fairness, if Nara Shikamaru thinks she is Miyamoto, she may have some ambitions. Well, a man like Miyamoto-kun, compared with him, everyone will be eclipsed. Akamichi Choji spoke of course. Nara Shikamaru pouted. I can't refute it. Taking time, Zeben arrived at the family dinner at Hinata's house. Oh, are you coming? Seeing the appearance of Miyamoto, a middle-aged woman who looks almost like Hinata smiled and said. Musashi, Denex. This is Hinata, which is not mentioned in the original book. His mother has a personality similar to Hinata, but she is not as shy as Hinata, she is a generous woman. Aunt Guyon, Miyamoto greeted Hinata's mother, and then looked at Hyuga Hiyashi sitting on the main seat. Hello, uncle. Hyuga Hiyashi is a serious man, looking at Miyamoto. Come on, just sit down. Yian sat next to Hinata, and the opposite of Miyamoto was Hyuga Hiyashi. Looking around, Miyamoto glanced at Lori who was sitting next to Hinata's mother, and looked at Hanabi curiously. Sensing Miyamoto's gaze, Hanabi smiled at Miyamoto. Brother Musashi, it's the first time we meet, please take care of me. With a smile on his face, Miyamoto nodded, please teach me more. After the two greeted each other, the family feast began. After eating, Hyuga Hiyashi waited for a while and looked up at Miyamoto. Musashi, I'm going to be blunt, I want to ask you about your marriage with Hinata? Hearing Hyuga Hiyashi's words, Miyamoto had a smile on his face. In recent days, Hinata mentioned Hyuga Hiyashi's inquiry. Hearing Hyuga Hiyashi's words, Miyamoto looked at the shy Hinata beside him. Just another year, I will definitely propose marriage to my uncle. Chapter 73. White Tiger, appears 4/5 Chapter 73. Before parting with Miyamoto, Hyuga Hiyashi chatted with Miyamoto about some things, got a satisfactory answer, and left with a smile. And Hinata naturally followed Miyamoto back home. Although the two were not married or engaged, everyone knew that if nothing happened, Hinata and Miyamoto would definitely get married eventually. The pair of Miyamoto and Hinata is also the most enviable pair among the new generation. And Miyamoto, even the stunned Uzumaki Naruto, often envies Miyamoto as a winner in life. On the way home, Hinata held Miyamoto's arm, with both happiness and shyness on his face, leaning on Miyamoto's shoulder. Miyamoto-kun. I am so lucky to have met you. Hearing Hinata's words, Miyamoto showed a smile on his face, and pinched Hinata Xiaochang's nose. Fool, true happiness has not come yet. Looking at the Hokage rock with a little emotion, and then looking at the moon hanging high, Miyamoto's face showed emotion. When the ninja world is really stable, the 3 of us will travel to the ninja world together. Of course, if our baby is born. While telling Hinata about the fantasy of the future, he walked towards the house. After the 4th Ninja World War, the entire ninja world has at least 7 or 8 years of stable life. Before the next generation is born, Miyamoto can bring his own woman and live the life he wants. This is his fantasy. In the blink of an eye, 2 months passed by. In the past 2 months, a lot of things have happened. Squad 8 and Kakashi led by Kakashi, together with Hinata and a wood-style ninja aliased as Yamato, embarked on a mission to capture Uchiha Itachi and search for Uchiha Sasuke. Witnessed the death of Uchiha Itachi with his own eyes, and also got the news that the team formed by Uchiha Sasuke joined the Akatsuki organization. At the same time, during this mission, Class Kakashi met a ninja who can use space-time ninjutsu. It is none other than Uchiha Obito. Although he doesn't know the situation, Miyamoto roughly deduces what will happen next. The fall of the hero Jiraiya. For Jiraiya, Miyamoto has a strange feeling. If you can save it, you can save it, if you can't save it, forget it. The relationship between Miyamoto and Jiraiya is limited to acquaintance. In Hokage's office, Miyamoto couldn't help being slightly taken aback when he saw Jiraiya and Tsunade in the office. It seems that I will have a tough battle to fight next, and I will fight a tough battle while retaining my whole cards. With thoughts, Miyamoto went indirectly. Even Shizune was not here. It can be seen that this mission is quite confidential and it is impossible for others to know. Seeing Miyamoto appear, Tsunade's eyes flickered slightly. Musashi. Has a mission. You can decline. Quote. With Jiraiya, the two of you are doing a classified mission. According to the information Jiraiya got, it is very likely that your life will be in danger. After Tsunade finished speaking, Jiraiya looked at Miyamoto with flat eyes. For Miyamoto's opinion, Jiraiya appreciates it quite a lot. After all, it can be said that it is a very powerful thing to be able to achieve today's achievements at such an age. But this time the mission is indeed quite dangerous, even if Miyamoto doesn't accept it, it doesn't matter. Looking at the eyes of the two, Naomoto smiled slightly. I took it. Miyamoto didn't tell Hinata or Hong about the mission this time. After accepting the mission, Miyamoto and Jiraiya quietly left Konoha. The border of the Land of Rain. It is quite a spectacle. Outside the border of the Kingdom of Rain, the sun is shining brightly, but inside the Country of Rain, it is raining and raining continuously. Miyamoto and Jiraiya, who came here, put on the raincoats that are common in the Country of Rain, and the two entered the Country of Rain. After half a day, successfully sneaked into Rain Shinobi Village. Just entering Rain Shinobi Village, Miyamoto frowned and glanced at the non-stop rain. This rain. There was a hint of doubt on Miyamoto's face. Jiraiya patted Miyamoto on the shoulder and explained with a smile. This is the unique weather in the Land of Rain. There are very few sunny days, just get used to it, let's go. Following behind Jiraiya, Miyamoto frowned slightly. Although the rainwater does not contain chakra, Miyamoto always has a weird feeling that he seems to have overlooked some important information, but Miyamoto didn't say much. Following behind Jiraiya, Miyamoto was alert to the surrounding situation, didn't say much, and didn't make any suggestions. Jiraiya is an expert at gathering intelligence. Sitting in a small shop in Rain Shinobi Village, Miyamoto waited for Jiraiya to return. After going deep into Rain Shinobi Village, Jiraiya asked Miyamoto to stay here and wait. After all, when it comes to inquiring about news, the goal of one person's actions is a little smaller than that of two people's actions. Picking up the teacup, Miyamoto was just about to take a sip of tea, but he was taken aback. Outside the small shop, sheets of paper fell and condensed into a tall beauty. Blue hair, with a lavender paper flower, Xiao Hongyun's black windbreaker. One of Akatsuki's founders, the only female member code-named White Tiger, named Konan, is good at special ninjutsu-style paper dance. Putting down the teacup, Miyamoto didn't look back, but that had locked his killing intent, which made Miyamoto very clear that he was already exposed. At this time, thinking about why it was discovered, it didn't make any sense. Miyamoto turned his head and looked behind him. The White Tiger of Akatsuki, the messenger of God in Rain Shinobi Village. Do you want anything from me? Hearing Miyamoto's words, Konan's face did not change any expression, looked at Miyamoto, raised his finger. Swish swish swish. Sheets of paper formed shurikens one by one, and shot towards Miyamoto in an instant. Faced with this attack, Miyamoto's face froze, confirmed, and he left the place in an instant, and at the same time made a seal with his right hand. Fire-style Great Fireball technique. Boom. The Great Fireball blasted towards Konan extremely fast, but it had no effect. The paper on his body condensed into a pair of wings and flew into the air. Konan flapped his wings. Ninja Law hyphenation point paper rain. Whoosh whoosh. An overwhelming amount of sharp, knife-like paper shot towards Miyamoto at a very fast speed. A stern look appeared on Miyamoto's face, and he didn't say much, and the seal was finished. Earth-style double earth wall. Boom. The paper was filled with the earthen wall, and at the moment the earthen wall collapsed, Miyamoto finished the seal in his hand and looked at Konan in the sky. Fire-style Grand Dragon Fire Technique. Chapter 74 Pain 5/5. Chapter 74. Fire-style Dragon Fire Technique. Miyamoto opened his mouth and spit out a dragon-shaped flame, burning towards Konan very fast, but in the next moment, Konan's body spread out like a rain of flowers, and after escaping the dragon fire, he recondensed and appeared not far from Miyamoto. Without moving further, Miyamoto looked at Konan. You appear here, which means that not only I have been exposed, but Jiraiya has also been exposed. Miyamoto's face showed serious color, looking at Xiaoxiun. Akatsuki's actions are all in a group of two people. You are here alone, so, is there another person at Jiraiya's place? His eyes flickered slightly. Konan looked at Miyamoto, and did not answer Miyamoto's words, but Miyamoto noticed Konan's mood swings. Because of Jiraiya, and also because of Miyamoto's analysis. Sure enough, your existence is a huge obstacle for Akatsuki. Konan exuded a strong killing intent. He looked at Miyamoto with a serious face. A pair of wings condensed by the dance of paper spread, and Konan flew into the sky. Not too big and not too small spears. Fall here. Ninja paper rain, ninja paper spear. Using two ninjutsu at the same time, Miyamoto's eyes were fixed. Without any hesitation, his body moved. Lightning-style lightning instant. Thorn. Like a bolt of thunder, Miyamoto fled to the side, very fast. How could I let you escape? Konan frowned, and directly pursued Miyamoto from the air. Paper rain and paper spear kept killing Miyamoto. Leaping onto the high platform, Miyamoto turned around abruptly, looked at Konan, and the seal on his hand was finished. Water-style water bomb technique. Rain Shinobi Village has been covered by rain all year round. Even though it does not know when the rain has stopped now, the amount of water produced by Miyamoto is still quite terrifying. Groups of small and large water polo, like cannonballs, all locked on Conan, bombarding Conan overwhelmingly. Conan frowned slightly, and with a wave of his hand, the large paper condensed shuriken met Miyamoto's water bomb. After blocking Miyamoto's attack, Conan looked at Miyamoto's put down just now, and at this moment Miyamoto had disappeared in place. His complexion was slightly ugly, and Conan's figure slowly dissipated. After Conan's figure dissipated, Miyamoto came out from the shadow on the roof. BHBB, this is a stealth technique developed by Miyamoto after copying the secret technique of using shadows on Naruto. It is quite useful. Looking at Conan's dissipated figure, Miyamoto made a seal on his hand. Is it really the paper clone technique? Kagura hard eye. Opening the eyes of Kagura, Miyamoto's perception radiated out, and he felt the direction of Jiraiya's chakra almost instantly. Without any hesitation, Miyamoto rushed directly to. At the moment Jiraiya, the state is quite bad. He was badly injured and had already lost most of his combat power. With Pain and Six Paths fighting together for a quick victory, Jiraiya was quickly defeated no matter how strong he was. The immortal facial makeup on his face has disappeared, and the two toads he summoned just now have returned to Mount Miyaboku with information. The larynx was cut off, the limbs were pierced by black rods, and they were nailed to the ground. He was already dying. Looking at Jiraiya, after being silent for a long time, Tiandao Pain slowly raised his hand, with an iron nail in his hand. This is going to kill Jiraiya. And at this moment, Conan, who had been watching and didn't hit Jiraiya or stop Pain, suddenly frowned. Let him escape, Conan said. Looking at Jiraiya's tragic situation, there was a little bit of unbearable in his eyes. Hearing Conan's words, Tiandao Pain replied. It's okay, he didn't get any information, it's not important. At this moment, Pain's full attention is on Jiraiya in front of him, and he doesn't care much about Miyamoto's escape. Although dying, Jiraiya, who did not die immediately, felt the last stone in her heart drop after hearing Conan's words. Looking back on my life, it seems like everything has been a failure. Continuously being rejected by Tsunade. That Orochimaru guy, he couldn't stop him from defecting. Lying on the ground, having given up struggling and having a premonition of his own death, Jiraiya recalled his life in his mind. But he hasn't finished thinking crash. A figure suddenly jumped out of the water beside Jiraiya and met Jiraiya's eyes. It seems that I am not too late. Looking at Miyamoto's eyes before he had time to close, Miyamoto said something, raised his hand and smashed the iron rod inserted into Jiraiya's body, grabbed Jiraiya's body, and jumped away. Boom. Just as Miyamoto left the spot with Jiraiya, a figure fell from the sky and landed there. Seeing the attacking Shiradao, Miyamoto's face was serious, and he looked up at Pain Six Paths who looked at him coldly. Miyamoto's face was serious, and he wiped a little of Jiraiya's blood, and sealed. Ninja summoning technique. Boom. A huge toad appeared at Miyamoto's feet, and put Jiraiya on the toad. Toad of Mount Miyaboku, bring Jiraiya back to Woang. As soon as Miyamoto's voice fell, an emotionless voice sounded. Universal pull. Boom. The huge gravitational force, not to mention Miyamoto, even the toad under Miyamoto's feet was also attracted. Facing the attack of Tiandao Pain, Miyamoto felt a little helpless, and made seals with both hands. Fire style huge fire destroys arrows. Boom. The fire style agitated by chakra condensed into a flaming arrow and headed towards Pain, who was leading him. Facing such a terrifying flaming arrow, Kido from Six Paths appeared beside Tiandao Pain, who opened his hands to absorb Miyamoto's attack. Heavenly Dao Pain's universal pull crisis also dissipated naturally. Miyamoto glanced at the big toad under his feet, and he had already rolled up Jiraiya with his tongue, and his body turned into a huge puff of smoke and disappeared. This puff of smoke directly wrapped Miyamoto in it, looked up at Pain Six Paths, and Miyamoto's figure fell down. A gust of wind blew by, and Miyamoto stood on the water, looking at Conan and Tendo Pain above. It is so easy to rescue Jiraiya, that is because Uzumaki Nagato and Conan have not really decided to kill Jiraiya in their hearts. Otherwise, Miyamoto will not be able to take Jiraiya Hill away. Jiraiya, Uzumaki Nagato hesitated for a moment just now, couldn't make a move, let go, but for Miyamoto. At this moment, Uzumaki Nagato really never thought that he would be able to walk out of Rain Shinobi Village alive. Snapped. With hands together, Miyamoto's face is serious. Sage Mode. On Chapter 75 Miyamoto was inserted from the front 1/5. Chapter 75. Sage Mode. Miyamoto's eyes closed and opened, floating on the ground, the ubiquitous huge natural chakra, quickly poured into Miyamoto's body. Gently vibrated, Miyamoto's face marked the emergence of the face of Sage Mode, which is different from the known fairy face. Gold. A flame symbol appears between the eyebrows, and the eyes have golden light. Miyamoto's image at the moment, if he changes his equipment, is like a fairy. Perception, combat power, physical strength, all aspects of strengthening, his Sage Mode, is not the time-limited one of Naruto. Miyamoto traveled for 2.5 years, did not develop wood style, did not develop new techniques, all went to practice Sage Mode, One can imagine how much he cares about Sage Mode.
Letting go, Miyamoto looked up at Pain. Let's talk about it, how about letting me go? It's like letting Jiraiya go. Tendo Pain looked at Miyamoto, with a deadpan expression. Jiraiya was saved by you, it has nothing to do with me. You're not like him. Looking at Miyamoto, Konan, who was standing aside without speaking, suddenly spoke. Miyamoto Musashi, do you think this world is reasonable? There are constant wars, people die every day, children lose their parents every day, and wives lose their other half. This world is wrong. Akatsuki's goal is to use the power of the tailed beast to achieve world peace. Miyamoto Musashi, your power is what Akatsuki needs.
Hearing this, looking at Konan in pain, Miyamoto's eyes flickered. So that's how it is, so you guys want to recruit me. Hearing Konan's words, Miyamoto instantly understood what was going on, and suddenly escaped. Pain 6 paths locks himself, Konan invites, stick and carrot, quite a set. Join Akatsuki and Fallen in Rain Shinobi Village, what's your answer? Pain stepped forward, and Rinnegan locked Miyamoto and asked. 6 paths Pain's power is quite strong, even though Miyamoto knows 6 paths Pain, he still has pressure. Fortunately, this battle, Miyamoto's goal, is not difficult.
Without answering, Miyamoto lowered his body slightly, looked at Pain 6 paths, and held the handle of the knife with one hand. In this way, your existence is Akatsuki's biggest obstacle. Looking at Miyamoto, Pain said. Then, you stay here. Boom. As soon as he finished speaking, a black shadow emerged from under Miyamoto's feet, and rushed towards Miyamoto from the bottom of the water. Summoning Beast. Jumping up, Miyamoto's face was solemn, the white eyes under the golden eyes had been opened, and he could clearly see what was attacking him. Universal pull. A huge attraction came, and Miyamoto's body was uncontrollable, and he was directly sucked towards Tiandao Pain. This gravitational force is quite huge, and in the blink of an eye, Miyamoto's body has been brought in front of Tiandao Pain. Swish. The whole body is covered with organs, instantly deformed, and the sword-shaped chainsaw is facing and waiting in place, waiting for Miyamoto to hit him.
One of Pain's 6 paths, the Ashura path of the main attack. It's now. Miyamoto stared at Shiridao's movements, and chakra instantly condensed on his hand. Sage Art Wind-style Spiral Shuriken. After adding the natural chakra, a giant spiral shuriken, Miyamoto threw it without any hesitation. Facing Miyamoto's attack, Tendo Pain raised his other hand. Shenluo Tianjung. The repulsive force is centered on Tiandao Pain, radiating out, and Miyamoto's spiral shuriken directly hits this invisible repulsive force. Boom. The spiral shuriken technique was directly blocked, which was expected by Miyamoto. Glancing at the slightly clear sky, Miyamoto made seals with both hands.
Fire-style Dragon Fire technique. Pushing the Dragon Fire technique with all its strength, Miyamoto released 10 of them at once, one to kill Tiandao Pain, one to kill Konan, and the other 8 blasted to the sky. Leaping forward, he rushed to the top of a building. Miyamoto looked at Pain's 6 paths and Konan below, and the lightning-style chakra in his hand condensed and pulled the electric cloud that was easily formed. The environment of Rain Shinobi Village is quite suitable for this technique. Pain, who had just absorbed the fire of 2 giant dragons, turned his head to look at Miyamoto, who was high up. When Tendo Pain raised his hand and wanted to use universal pull, Miyamoto made it faster. Lightning-style Kirin. Thorn. In the sky, thunder light flickered, and within a second, the natural thunder and lightning in the sky poured down from the sky. The dazzling thunder light illuminated the entire environment, making it impossible to see anything at all. Boom. The attack that shocked the entire Rain Shinobi Village. After the Kirin passed, the scene of the scene appeared in the eyes of Miyamoto. A ruin. On the ruins, Heavenly Dao Pain with his hands stretched out and Konan standing behind him stood there safe and sound. As for the other paths of 6 paths, without exception, each of them has been destroyed, lying in place, even the hungry Kido who can absorb ninjutsu is no exception. The Kilin technique is not issued by Miyamoto's chakra at all, but the use of natural lightning, which cannot be absorbed by the hungry Kido, and it is normal to be destroyed. This jutsu is your famous ninjutsu. Purple Thunder. Tendo Pain put down his hand, looked at Miyamoto, and said flatly. But before these eyes, you have only one path, death. After Tiandao's words fell, Konan behind him walked out slowly and looked at Miyamoto.
Judging from this, the two are planning to join forces. Swish. 2 figures, crossed left and right, rushed towards the place where Miyamoto was, at a very fast speed. Miyamoto didn't speak, but compared to when the other 5 paths like 6 paths were still there, Miyamoto is quite dignified at this moment. Fighting Pain 6 paths does not mean that the more 6 paths you eliminate, the better, it is the same as manipulating puppets. The fewer 6 paths you control, the more powerful the remaining 6 paths will be. If some of the previous 6 paths were only elite Jonin strength, the current Tiandao Pain, from the perspective of chakra alone, has a proper super shadow level, plus Konan, a cage level powerhouse. Pretty tough to play. Lightning style Lei Shun. With the lightning style chakra condensed on his body, Miyamoto's body did not advance but retreated, directly killing Konan and Tiandao Pain.
Universal pull. Tendo Pain, who was approaching quickly, raised his hand and shook Miyamoto. The terrifying gravitational force not only pulled Miyamoto's body away, but also touched Miyamoto's limbs. Konan, who was assisting beside him, his expression froze, and he shot instantly. Ninja Paper Spear Technique. Dozens of large and small spears formed, attacking Miyamoto densely. Accelerated by gravity, coupled with Konan's throwing, the paper spear came to Miyamoto in almost a breath. Puff puff. With the sound, Miyamoto is inserted frontally,